what I believe is this, and a lot of the world's top philosophers agree with me.
Do they?
Once some...
Like who?
Descartes.
Descartes?
Yes.
You mean Descartes?
Yes.
This is Talk Sport. We are the two Mikes. We're here, of course, all the way through the night for you. And it's going to be very, very interesting as well, because not only are we looking ahead to that England-Scotland game, but we'll be looking at the latest from Baltimore as well, where the Baltimore Ravens are taking on the Cleveland Browns in the NFL. Time to say a very, very good morning to a man who's been fighting pain off all week.
I have.
It is, of course, the friend of the stars, Mike Porky Parry.
Yeah, yes, a very good morning to you, Mike. And I do think it lacks a little compassion for you not to have even mentioned the literally riveting back pain that I'm fighting to get here, to sit here, to have to stand up occasionally because of the disc problem I've got. The back of my
It's not my fault your body is
spine.
completely and utterly failing on you.
Well,
it's a great age that you've reached.
No, it's not a great age. It's all to do with the fact that, it's mind over matter. I'm ignoring the pain as best as I can.
Yeah, I know that feeling.
I'm coping with the outrageous... what is it? The outrageous slings and arrows of fortune.
The slings and arrows of outrageous fortune.
That's it, yeah. So
how much pain are you actually in as we speak?
A lot.
Really?
Yes.
Well, on a scale of 1 to 10?
About 8, I would say, yes.
All right,
yeah,
so
but I'm trying
given the Porky Quiz estimates, I'll knock that down to 3.
I went to see my financial advisor today, as I do quite a bit.
Is that why you're in pain?
Well, no, because actually he took one look at me and then gave me 2 Ibuprofen, are they called?
Hey?
What are they called?
What do you call them?
Ibuprofen.
You mean ibuprofen?
Ibuprofen, that's it. Yeah,
Ibuprofen.
Yeah, give me a couple of those.
Well, how do you know what you were taking? You don't even know what it's called.
No, he gave them to me. And
he could have been slipping you some kind of Mickey.
Well, no, I don't think so. No, I've known him quite a long time, to be honest, and I think it was okay.
Right.
But anyway, listen, the highlight of the night so far is the fact that I have completely blown to pieces your ridiculous supposition that I never met Joan Collins.
I never said that.
And that
I never said you didn't meet Joan Collins.
I didn't have a picture of me and Joan Collins together.
What you've produced,
I clearly have.
What you've produced, right, is a picture of the front page of a newspaper, right, which is clearly a spoof front page, which is the kind of thing that you get when you get fired or when you leave a job.
Excuse me.
I'd like to see the rest of the. I'd like to see the rest of the page. Well, let's have a look, shall we?
Yeah.
At the caption which appears on this particular page, right?
Yes.
Because the caption clearly could not have been on any normal front page of any actual newspaper.
You're slightly right. You're slightly right.
Slightly right. Here's what the caption says, right? The picture shows, by the way, and some people have already pointed out, one, you've got a hideous tie on, which even for the 80s was pretty horrendous, right? The 2 champagne glasses appear to be different sizes.
Yeah.
And that you would never have 2 different sizes.
Bigger.
Champagne glasses. Yours looks a lot bigger.
Well, there you go.
Now, here's what it says. New toy boy for Joni.
Yeah.
This is the first picture of the new toy boy lover Joan Collins calls Magic Michael.
That's it.
Today we lift the lid on the amazing double life of the bespectacled beefcake.
That's me.
Who has won a star's heart.
Yes.
Now, are you telling me that that's not a spoof front page?
No, what it was a tribute to me by my colleagues when I was made...
Did you write it yourself?
No, I didn't. No, that was written by Terry Manners, our old friend.
Oh, yeah.
And
he's a great mate of yours, yeah.
He is a great mate of mine, that's right, yeah. And tongue too big for your mouth, Foley. And what happened was I received yet another promotion in my journalistic newspaper career.
Was this when they kicked you out to America again?
No, I was made assistant editor, brackets USA. Huge,
it was when they moved
position.
you back to New York so they could get you out of the way.
No, don't be ridiculous. It was
you'd become a nuisance and a Benlin addict in the office.
It was on the eve of the Bill Clinton march for the presidency, which I predicted was going to happen.
Of course.
So I went over there and organised the whole shebang.
So what's the date on this particular paper then?
Well, I don't know. When was that? 92 probably.
Well, I don't know. I'm asking you. You've got the front page.
Well,
I can see the whole page.
Yeah, I've got.
Because I can see from the top headline something says is my secret weapon.
Right,
and there's a picture of what looks like George H.W. Bush.
Yes.
Right.
Could be. Oh, I've got the full page here.
All right, well, let's have a look at that.
You want to see this?
Yeah, I want to see it.
Shall I put it out?
You can put it out.
Okay.
Or you can just show it to me now so I can describe it to people.
Okay, there you go.
Let's have a look. This is the whole front page, yeah.
Yes.
Parry is my secret weapon.
Yes.
It says here. Look at the top left, it says New York Drinkathon. So they obviously know that that's what you were talking about.
Yeah.
Friday, August the 21st, 1992.
Yes.
From Broadway to the Bronx, follow Mike's guide to the ultimate Big Apple pub crawl. Right?
Well, that was just a joke, of course. I wasn't going over there to drink. I was going over there to organise, the biggest story in the world at the time, which was the election of the next president of the United States.
A fuzzy face but a sharp mind is also on the front page. In 1981, the Manchester office of the world's greatest newspaper broke with tradition by advertising for a reporter.
Yes.
Stanley Blenkinsop, news editor from 69 to 88, said, I got over 300 applications. Mike Parry got the job.
Yes.
He also shattered another Manchester tradition. He was a bearded reporter.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
I mean, this is all just a sort of hagiography for you, isn't it?
Well, it's a tribute to me, and tributes usually...
Well, a load of old cobblers.
Usually...
So that picture, in fact, must have been taken at another time, because it must
was
have
taken
been
at Joni's 50th birthday party about 2 years earlier.
2 years earlier?
Yeah.
Right, okay.
Yeah, what's wrong with that?
Well, it's not a proper picture.
Of course it is.
Well, where's the original of the picture? Where's your original of that? I thought you would have had it in a frame. That's what you've always said.
I have got it in a frame somewhere at home, but I don't go around collecting pictures of me and celebrities. That's why I've got a picture of me and Bill Clinton, or me and Donald Trump, because I don't stand around saying to people, oh, do you want to take a picture?
So how did you get this picture then?
What do you mean?
Well, if you don't stand around next to people waiting for somebody to take a picture, how did you get that?
Because it was a social occasion, and a photographer from the Daily Express, funny enough, was wandering around because, I tell you...
Is it because it was a social occasion in the Daily Express building?
I think it was.
Yes, it was.
And I think the host...
Exactly that.
I think the host was our friend Sir Nicholas.
Sir Nicholas Lloyd.
Absolutely, yeah. Well, I'll tell you what I'm going to do, because
I think you should put out the whole page.
So interested, I'm going to put this out now. I'm going to put this out now, okay? I'm going to share it with everybody. They can see it for what it is, the truth, the absolute truth and nothing but the truth, which is what I'll be saying next Monday, of course, at Croydon Crown Court, unfortunately.
Yes, quite.
Yeah, but I want to do my duty. I just do not want to be a nuisance to the, the process, the due process of law and justice, okay?
Yeah. Well, let me give you some of the reaction that's coming in from Twitter for a start. Jason says this, complete and utter forgery by the seeker of truth and justice and man of the people.
No, not at all.
One from David says, what in the name of Lawrence Llewellyn Bowen is that tie all about?
Well, it was fashionable in those days. You know what I mean?
Really?
Yes.
Well, I mean, it is a pretty hideous tie, though. What's it actually got on it? I don't think it is. Has it got fruit on it or something?
No. It's a psychedelic type thing, Well,
it's not really psychedelic. Basil says, ha, bespectacled beefcake and more like fat fish cake.
Fat fish cake, that's a bit harsh, isn't it?
Freddie says, been a bad week for the fat man, outsung by MG and producing this tat in response to the Clinton pick.
Tat?
Yeah.
What are you on about? What tat?
And then Paige says, my God, Joan looks absolutely thrilled to bits to be with you there,
She
Porky.
certainly does.
A nice tie.
Yes, thank you. Yeah,
Scott says, Porky should present Jack and Ori. What a Pinocchio.
And, what does that mean?
And then here's one which is just off to the side from Guillermo, who said, I suspect the Egyptian doctor is currently watching your House of Cards box set.
It could be, yeah. No, he couldn't. It's not in that building.
Anyway, so your pathetic attempt to keep up with me by publishing a picture which is so old that the woman in it is having a 50th birthday. She's now, what, about 80-something?
Well, hang on. Excuse me.
Yeah.
How long ago was that picture of you and Bill Clinton taken?
It was taken about 10 years ago.
Yeah, rubbish.
It was.
Rubbish.
It was taken about 10 years ago.
Nah, couldn't have been. You've been here more than 10 years.
What do you mean I've been here more than 10 years?
You've been here more than 10 years.
Here meaning what?
Back from your domicile in the United States.
What year is it now? The picture wasn't taken in the United States.
Oh.
The picture was taken in Glasgow, actually.
Glasgow.
Yeah. Where Bill Clinton came to Glasgow.
To Glasgow. Right, I see, okay. Yeah, all right, well, that explains a bit of it.
Yeah.
Anyway, we have to move on because there are other very important issues.
We've already taken up the whole first section of the show, talking about your ridiculous picture with Joan Collins, which many people don't even believe is a real picture.
I didn't want to. You asked me about it. You told me to put the picture out. I've done all that.
You've been talking about this picture for the best part of 5 years.
And all's we've done...
It's taken you 5 years to produce it.
All I have done is responded to the overwhelming desire from our millions of listeners to get the facts straight.
Yes.
Okay?
And the facts are indeed as we see them. This is not a photograph. This is a reprint of a front page, a spoof front page. So for all we know, the picture could be a spoof.
Oh, it's not. Don't be ridiculous.
Well, why should we take your word for it?
It's a very genuine picture, believe me.
Right.
And Joan Collins will actually remember the occasion. She was very taken by me.
Well, why don't you get her on the show?
Well, I don't want to go to those sort of lengths. You know what I mean?
This is Talk Sport. We are the two mics.
Hey! The sun goes down like a bad, bad dream. You end up tight, gotta let off steam. They say they can break you again and again. If life is a radio, turn up to 10. These are crazy
for We Are the Two Mics. Porky Quiz coming up tonight, of course, on Donald Trump, the president-elect, who was down at the White House today. Did you see the footage of Mr. Trump with President Obama?
Yes, I did.
What did you make of it?
I think there was shock on both sides, really. It seemed to me like they walked into the room together, looked at each other, and it was literally shock and awe.
Yeah.
I think they each thought to each other, what am I doing in the room with this guy? What am I doing in the same room as this guy?
I thought Trump looked more shocked than Obama. Obama looked pretty relaxed, but Trump looked to me like a guy who's just been given a job that he's only just realised what it is. And he's kind of looking around going, blimey, this is a bit more complicated than running the Atlantic City casino that I just declared bankrupt.
I think that's a very good point, because Obama, of course, is out anyway after 8 years. So he's a successful president in terms of career because he was a two-term president.
Sure.
It's not like he got booted out after one term like Jimmy Carter.
And whatever he did, he stewarded the country reasonably well.
Yeah.
I mean, we talked last night about not much of a legacy and all
Exactly.
that. But I mean, he was a pretty good politician, if you might put it that way.
I mean, he was just a steady hand, really, and that was it. But you're absolutely right. Then Donald Trump suddenly thinks, what am I doing sitting in the Oval Office?
Yeah.
I mean, he is such a sort of interesting man, Donald Trump, that he could easily have conned his way into the Oval Office by inventing some sort of great charity or something, you know what I mean? And then all of a sudden gets an invitation from the president to come and tell us how you're raising this $100 million, Mr. Trump, which is normally speaking how you'd expect him to get into the Oval Office. But to get into the Oval Office because you are president-elect, I think you're right. I think it suddenly dawned on him, how am I going to handle this, and what am I going to do next, so to speak, you know?
And also, I've just had a kind of a sneak peek at the amount of stuff that I'm going to have to get my head around.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, it's a bit like in some of our situations in journalism, where suddenly somebody gets promoted to editor.
That's right.
And you see them sort of wandering about the office, staring off into space.
That's
going,
right.
I don't know where to begin.
I don't know where to begin, yeah. And politicians have the same problem when they suddenly are made a cabinet minister, and on the first night when they're at home celebrating with their wife, this car turns up, and this guy brings
red boxes.
6 red boxes in. He brings these, and they say, what are they? To say your papers for the day, sir. They need to be sorted, sifted, and signed by tomorrow morning.
Right.
Oh, I see. Thank you. Yeah.
Better put the champagne down.
Yeah, exactly. That's right. Yeah. So it was all very, very interesting indeed.
Yes.
I totally agree. And it'll be a fascinating period. However, I was looking at a news channel today, and the point was being made by a veteran Fleet Street person that the papers now will probably lose interest in, things like Trump's cabinet and all that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? We don't really care, do we?
Well, I mean, until he starts appointing people.
Well, you and I care because we lived in America and we know a lot about the American way of life and politics and all that kind of stuff. But what I'm really saying is that it's a phenomenal story, but now the detail, is really for the Americans. And
Well,
all that.
I mean, the two kind of running stories for me are going to be the continued demonstrations and whether or not they get any more violent or any more. I mean, there was some irony, I thought, in the fact that these people are marching through the streets of various cities saying, an end to intolerance.
Yeah, that's right.
We don't like racists.
That's
and you
right,
go, well, hang on, you've been a bit intolerant there, aren't you?
And you're being a bit racist.
And
also,
also
you're saying that,
and
Donald
saying
Trump...
he's not my president. And one guy spitting into a camera. I know. And you just get the feeling that the police, I'm probably sure at the moment, are being told to take it relatively easy.
That's right, yeah.
There will come a time when the cops in America, who don't mind cracking a few heads, will suddenly be moving in and cracking a few heads.
They will. They'll lash out, yeah. But at the same time, what these people were talking about was the fact that we've almost totally ignored the fact that 7 people died in a rail accident in this country.
And the tram in Croydon,
in the last 72 hours.
Yeah.
And hardly anybody's picked up on it.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, it's been all over the news, but I mean, it's not. It's been sort of dwarfed.
But
by
I mean, for 7 people to die in a not even a train, a tram accident. When trams were introduced into this country because they were sort of part of the rapid transit network and said to be extremely safe mode of transport because they don't go very fast and they are, very they have a low centre of gravity, they can't fall over, and yet something terrible has happened.
Yeah, and they're still investigating.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Now let me read you a couple more tweets out on the subject of that picture.
Okay.
Here's one from Will. It says, "To be fair, Porky looks stylish in this pic.
Thank you.
Compared to the hideous attire of today."
What? That's very harsh, isn't
Sam
it?
says, "I'm pretty sure that's not even you, Porky."
Of course it is.
And Def says, "That's the fake shake with Noel Edmonds' brother." I wonder who's the most disappointed with the deception.
I think not. No, it was just a period of my life when, I was used to bumping into celebrities on a daily basis because of the importance of my role in Fleet Street. Quite as simple as that.
Which had just come to an end as they were shipping you off to America.
No. As I was promoted to go and then spread my talents worldwide. There's nothing as important as an election in the United States,
indeed.
as we have witnessed over the last 48 hours.
Indeed, and then Trump, you vacated my apartment and I had to get rid of it. But here's another tweet
story,
from Bantam Bouncer. "When all the cameras are taking photos of Porky walking into court, he will look like the one being accused and in the dock."
Well, this is what I've actually pointed out. I have a letter to give to the judge when I see him on Monday, and one of my questions to him is, what do I do if somebody in the corridors of the court, not the jury room, obviously, puts his arm around me and says, can I take a selfie? What do I do?
I think you let him take one.
Do I?
Yeah, and then you use that as evidence as to why you can't carry on.
Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah. I use it to my own benefit.
Exactly.
But I'm not that sort of guy. If I said, look, I'm sorry, you can't take a picture of me, then people say, oh, yeah, I see Porky's got a bit big for his boots, being selective about who can have his picture taken with him. That's all I'm worried about.
All right.
I'm not, I want to do my duty. I want to sit in that courtroom and I want to listen to the facts, the evidence.
Bad guys away.
Well, if they're bad guys, but, I'm not prejudging anything. A juror must have a completely open mind.
Yeah.
And that's what I have.
And that's what you have. We know that.
I have a completely open mind.
You've got the most open mind of any man I've ever met.
And I will assimilate the facts in the same way that I have done in my professional journalism for the last 30 years. Never got anything wrong.
God help anyone who comes in, up on a charge, who happens to live in a council house and who maybe not carrying a rucksack and wearing flip-flops. They will be sent down straight away.
Well, that's a terrible thing to say. It really is. And you sure you're not prejudicing the due process of law in this country?
That's what I'm trying to do.
Oh,
William says this, and this is a very important one. I want you to take this in. Armistice Day now, remembering the fallen in all wars and conflicts, because it is, of course, the 11th of November.
It is.
As we speak.
Indeed.
Yeah.
And
we'll be having a couple of minutes silence later on TalkSport, I'm sure.
Yes, of course
about
we will.
11 o'clock.
Well, we certainly will. At 11 a.m. we will join in with the national commemoration of
Did you see, by the way, that Wales
a mighty
have announced that they've attempted to put some kind of poppy thing on their shirts against Serbia?
Have they?
But they've decided the FIFA told them they can't, so they're now not doing it.
I see. We're doing ours on the armband, aren't we?
Well, yeah, the Scotland-England game,
yes,
there's going to be an armband.
Exactly.
So they've managed to get around it. But basically, Wales have said they don't want to upset FIFA, so they're not going to do it.
Really? Is that right? Yeah. That's a shame, that, because my dad told me that he fought alongside a lot of Welshmen during the Second World War, and they were, like every other great Briton, they were brave men.
Yeah.
So I find that extraordinary.
Yes,
I really
indeed.
do.
David says this. Joan Collins was born in 1933, so her 50th was in 1983.
Right, okay.
Further evidence of fabrication from the bespectacled beefcake.
Not at all. Not at all.
Well, that means your picture, your front page from 92 was using a picture from 9 years earlier.
Well, no, it could have been her 60th.
60th?
Could have been her 60th, couldn't it?
Well, it could have been.
Yeah,
but you said it was her 50th.
No, it's 60th. It was a 60th, okay?
Well, so...
Don't worry about it,
So 60th would have been a year... Wouldn't that have been 93?
She only looked about 40 at the time.
Wouldn't her 60th been a year after that paper was put out?
No. She only looked about 40 at the time.
Well,
so I don't like talking about women's ages. It's rude, and
why did she have
I'm a gentleman.
Well, so when Joan Collins has a 50th birthday party, you don't talk about her age?
Well, I don't like to go into it, to be honest.
Really?
There's no need to. Need to.
So her 60th birthday would have been 1993, which would be a year after that page was produced.
Yeah, but I think she was preparing for it, if you see what I mean. You know what I mean?
So she would have had a 60, maybe it's a 59th.
Yeah, it could have been, or something like that. You never know.
Scott says, I bet Porky becomes the foreman of the jury.
Well, I might do. I mean, I have powers of leadership, don't I? And that's the sort of thing that people recognise in me on a regular basis.
Loxy says, wasn't Joan's boyfriend known as Bungalow Porky? Not much upstairs. No,
he's known as Bungalow Bill.
Bungalow Bill. It wasn't so much about what wasn't upstairs.
No.
It was about what was downstairs.
That's absolutely right,
I believe I'm correct in that.
That is absolutely right. And he was a man from Kent, and he used to, you drive around in cars with stickers on the back saying, men of Kent can do it, or something.
Really?
It was all about men of Kent, you know what I mean? This men of Kent
men
thing.
Men of Kent? I didn't know there was a thing.
Yeah, there is. Yeah, men of Kent regard themselves as superior beings for some unknown reason. Yeah, they do, seriously,
Well, you used to go down to Maidenhead quite a lot, didn't you? Or Maidstone, rather.
Maidstone, I used to go, years ago, when I had sort of familial interest there, but that's not the case anymore. But Kent's quite a beautiful county in parts of it.
It is. Well, it's England's sort of garden, isn't it?
Well,
it's known as.
We've had this conversation before. Everybody misinterprets Kent as the Garden of England. In fact, the translation from medieval times, medieval English, is the Guardian of England.
Is that right?
Yes, because, of course, the ports, Folkestone and Dover, were the ports where the French always tried to invade us.
The Cinque Ports, aren't they?
The Cinque Ports, that's right, The Brest is on the other side of the channel, obviously, but you're absolutely right, yeah.
Where they speak Belgique.
No, they don't, no. They speak French in France, actually.
Yeah.
And everybody misinterpreted that through the sort of 17th, 18th, 19th century and called it, the Garden of England.
I see.
No. There's lovelier counties like Wiltshire and Somerset and Northumberland, which are gardens.
Well, I'd say Northumberland's a bit more rugged than that, isn't it?
Yeah, but it's still a beautiful garden, if you like gardens to be rugged. And Kent, in fact, was the Sorry, what's your
What do you
problem?
want a rugged garden for?
Well, people like rugged garden. I like a rugged garden.
A rugged... You haven't got any kind of garden.
No, I know, but if I had a garden, I'd have a rugged one.
Would you?
Yeah.
Okay.
And Kent was, in fact, called the Guardian of England, not the Garden of England. And I try to make that clear to people when I speak to them, but some people have a difficulty taking that in.
Anonymous says Porky's been well and truly caught out.
What? What do you mean?
Yeah, well, apparently over this fake picture of yours.
It's not a fake picture.
Well, it obviously is a fake picture.
You went on for months, if not years,
it's
about where's
obviously
your
a fake
picture with Joan Collins.
Well, I've been going on about it for years, and this
Yeah.
is the best you can do, provide a picture which is at least a minimum 9 years old, if in fact it's real, which has been reproduced in a fake front page given to you when you went to America.
That was the last time I saw Joan Collins, so I'm bound to produce the picture that I last saw her in.
When was the last time you saw her?
It was one of the last times I saw her. I haven't seen her very often
92
since.
or 83?
What?
92 or 83?
92.
92.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
Okay.
So don't worry about it.
Now, you'll be pleased to know I've got a present here for you,
Yes.
which I'm going to present to you coming up very, very shortly.
Oh,
on
okay.
TalkSport. It's been sent in by a loyal fan of yours.
Oh, is that right? That's
over
great.
in California.
Oh.
So I was very happy to open it earlier on, and I'm going to tell you what it is very shortly.
I'm very pleased
we
about
are
that.
Two Mics. This
Good.
is TalkSport.
Good.
Look at this photograph. Every time I do, it makes me laugh. How did our eyes get so red? And what the hell is on Joey's head? This is where I grew up. I think the president fixed it up. I never knew we ever went without. The second floor is hot for sneaking out. This is
TalkSport. We are the Two Mics. There will be a podcast coming out. There was a bit of a mess up with the podcast yesterday, by the way, that the wrong one got put out. But only briefly, got fixed very quickly.
It was even worse than I thought. Somebody first emailed me and said, or texted me and said there's a bit of a screw up with the podcast. I immediately blamed yourself, of course, going off on a bladderation breakfast.
Well, which was, of course, wrong. Right?
Well, anyway, but it got much, much worse because then I found out what the detail was. The detail was that, in fact, some poor soul was made to listen to 25 minutes of Russell Hargreaves.
That's right. Yeah. Well, I don't think they listened to 25 minutes of it, though.
Sorry?
I don't think they listened
No,
to
I
25
don't think they did. But, just imagine if he'd lost the power of his arms or something like that and those headphones were clamped on his head.
Yeah.
He has to listen to 25 minutes of Russell Hargreaves.
Yes.
My God.
Now, I've got one quick message before I give you your present.
Okay.
Here, right? And it comes from a man who's going through a little bit of pain at the moment.
Oh, yes.
His name's Leon Carson, and his wife Anne is suffering from cancer at the moment. They've got
dear.
a son who loves to listen to our show because it helps cheer him up.
Yeah.
And his name is Damien, right?
Okay.
Damien Carson,
Okay.
little 6-year-old boy.
Yeah.
And he's asked if we could just say hello to him because it will mean an awful lot to him because his mum's going through a bit of a bad time.
Well.
So Damien Carson.
Yeah.
Carlson, sorry.
Damien, if you're listening, my son, I'm very sorry to hear your mum's not well, but she'll get better, as mums and dads always do, and I hope that you're bearing up bravely, as I'm sure you are, and don't worry, life will get better, pal, and we are thinking of you here at TalkSport, so you make sure you have a nice couple of days.
And we will attempt to try and keep you laughing.
We
as
will
well.
indeed.
Now, this is from a guy called Gary over in Belmont, in California.
Yes.
He says he's a long-time listener to the show. He's an expat Manchester City fan.
Oh, yeah.
And he wants to express his gratitude for the many hours of entertainment and quality listening you've given me.
That's very
and
kind.
other people over the years.
Okay.
So he says, please accept these 2 tokens of my esteem. Now, he's given me, because I was talking a little while ago about, do you remember the sort of the single discs that you could buy, like 45s?
Yes.
And basically it was, you could make clocks out of them.
Oh,
And this
yes,
is Fisher
yes.
Z.
Yes.
So he sent me a very nice clock made out of a Fisher Z song called The Worker.
Very
And he
nice.
sent this to you.
Yes.
And what he says is, I am a lifelong Beatles fan.
Wow.
And I think the complete Beatles is still the best visual document of the group, period.
Wow.
Their story perfectly told in 2 hours really captures the impact. Now, I don't know if you've got that.
I have.
But you've now got another copy of it.
Well, it's fantastic. Thank you very much to get a fresh copy of it. I think I've only actually got it online, so to speak. You know
have
what I
you?
mean?
Oh, right.
So to have this is lovely. Thank you. And I think it opens with a picture of a very full Liverpool dockyard.
Oh, yeah.
And the opening words are something about how the influence of rock and roll music from America was brought to Liverpool by sailors from the merchant shipping
Oh, okay.
fleet. You know what I mean?
All right, very good.
That's really
Now,
nice.
that's on DVD. Now, I've got a couple of questions to ask you about DVDs,
Okay.
right? Because our DVD
Yes.
is out now, and you can buy it.
It is.
For Christmas, ready. It's filmed in and around Edinburgh. It's a live Edinburgh show, but also all sorts of other things, because we spent a whole weekend in Edinburgh
We did.
filming it. So it is available now from our website, the2mics.co.uk. But I discovered... Oh, no, so now you're going to use this as an excuse every time you get asked something.
Sorry.
I discovered through
Sorry, the back went a bit there.
Yeah,
sorry.
right.
Sorry, folks, if you hear those screaming noises, it's just the agony I'm suffering. Sorry.
Yeah, all right. Well, try and keep it to yourself.
Yeah, okay.
I'll get you a gag.
Right, now what was your question?
Anyway, in the midst of yesterday, right, the day after we put out the link to the website to buy the DVD, there was some kind of additional tax added on, which I'm calling the Porky tax.
What?
And I don't understand why it happened.
This is very harsh.
Yeah.
When this was brought to my attention, I immediately instructed our accountants to get onto the job.
Right.
What happened was that somebody had slapped a second postal package and delivery charge up on top of the price, which already included that particular item of expenditure, okay?
Right. Okay.
So we have now removed it. I want to apologise to anybody who's already bought the DVD.
Yeah.
Your money will be refunded, I promise you.
It's a £2.50 extra charge. It was added on unbeknownst to us, actually, wasn't it?
Yes, it is. Can I just say to you, please, that the maximum you will pay for the new Two Mics DVD, the Two Mics Live in Edinburgh, it's a beautiful front cover. It's blazoned in blue and yellow.
I don't know about beautiful.
Yeah, it is beautiful. But anyway, the maximum you'll pay is £13.49, and that consists of £10.99 for the DVD itself, which, is just short of £11. And
a penny short, I would say.
A penny short. Yeah. And £2.50 postage and packing, which is what it costs us for the distributors to literally put it into a package, to then put it through a franking machine, stamp it, and then get somebody to come along in a little red van, pick up the hundreds, if not thousands, which are going to be...
Why are you going into all this detail?
Dispatched, because I want to be absolutely clear.
That everybody knows you have now got rid of the Porky tax. It's now $13.49 in total.
It wasn't a Porky tax. I think MG is deflecting the blame on me because of a slight pang of guilt himself. I asked him to check all the detail before these instructions went out, but it will be £13.49. If you have paid more than that, I promise you we're going to refund your money, because the last thing we want to do is alienate you millions of listeners out there who have been like an army of utter and absolute unstinting support to us over the months, the years, and we hope you will be for years to come.
Well, that's enough of an advert, but there we are. So apologies to anyone who's bought it. The $2.50 will come back into your account. Rob says this: Porky's got his hopes up for a bit of horizontal refreshment, and he's done up a picture of you in bed with Joan Collins.
Well, that's very nice indeed.
Like the stud.
I mean, you have to understand, Joan Collins was one of the most beautiful women in the world, and in my mind, still is.
Yeah. Well, she's still a fine-looking woman.
Of course she is. She's a beautiful woman, and
she's actually a great fun woman as well.
Oh, she's very.
It's a shame you haven't kept in touch with her, though.
Well, I suppose it is a bit, but I mean, there's so many people to keep in touch with in life, isn't there?
Really?
But yes, I totally agree. She's a lot of fun. Doesn't take herself as seriously as some very beautiful women do. I mean, you would never find Joan Collins telling a driver to go round the block again whilst she rang up a hotel and demanded they put a red carpet out for her because she was going in to have, a cocktail or something like that.
No, that would not happen.
She enjoys a glass as well.
She does indeed.
Yeah. So that's great.
Aaron says this: Porky looks like Jerry Adams in that picture.
Jerry Adams.
Darren says that looks like Dave Lee Travis. So I mean, there's several people who've been likened to,
making interpretations on them. Now, listen, I have something a serious subject I want to talk to you about. Okay.
Yeah, go on.
Now, do you remember a few years ago I got done by one of those hideous mobile cameras?
What you mean over at Sainsbury's there?
No. What I'm saying is it was on the A3M that goes down to Portsmouth.
Oh, yeah.
And the Chief Constable of Hampshire sends out these horrible wagons that have got a camera in the back.
I don't remember you getting done by
I did, and they park in a lay-by, and then they do you.
But I thought you said you'd never been done for speeding.
Not by a fixed camera. This is a sneaky one, okay?
So you've only ever been done for speeding by a mobile camera?
Yeah, sneaky one, yeah.
Well, that still means you've been done for speeding.
Well, no, I haven't, you see. This is the whole point.
Oh, okay.
And I flashed past at about 74 miles an hour,
really? Which
meant I was within the 10% excess.
Yeah, but that's not an absolute and utter, fail-safe law. That is just their discretionary figure, they say.
Fortunately, they were discretionary, and they offered me the option to go on a speed driving course, you know what I mean?
Well, so you were done then?
No, because you pay £87. I didn't get an endorsement on my licence.
Oh, you told me about going to the speed awareness.
That's what I mean, speed awareness, right.
But I thought they only made you do that if, in fact, you had been found, guilty to have been speeding.
No, you're offered the option. You either challenge the allegation, or you concede and say, OK, I'll go to it. So I was obviously shocked to find in one of my motoring journals this report.
Yeah.
Motorists are paying up to £100 million a year to take remedial driving courses as an alternative to prosecution, despite a lack of evidence that they alter long-term attitudes to the road.
Right.
Millions of traffic offenders are effectively being sent on unreliable courses. The number of drivers sent on re-education courses for speeding, careless driving, failing to wear a seatbelt and using a mobile phone behind the wheel has tripled in 6 years. Figures show that a record 1.4 million motorists were sent on courses after being caught breaking the law on public highways across the UK last year. But most of these courses, right, have been found to be, or some courses have been found to be, lacking in what they're designed to do.
Well, what they're designed to do is to put it into your head that you shouldn't drive as fast as you have been driving. And usually they actually work, don't they?
Well, altogether they've taken £600 million from motorists, okay? And of that, the police got 180 million. How about that? I mean, to say that it's a racket and a business is putting it mildly, in my view.
Well,
right?
You must have learned something from it because it's never been done again since.
Well, I wasn't done before.
Well, you were
during or since.
Well, you were speeding, so therefore you had to go on the speed awareness course, and then since then you haven't been caught speeding, so therefore it worked.
Right. Anyway, a report.
What do you mean anyway? Well, therefore it worked.
I've noted what you've said.
Oh, thank you.
Anyway, it says the effectiveness of the system has now been brought into question by a detailed report and study. The biggest study of its kind into driving courses published by the Department of Transport. Steve Gooding, director of the RAC Foundation, former director general of roads of the Department of Transport, said, "Instinctively, we think of education as a good thing, but it is not enough to claim that the courses are a success just because millions of people have attended them, and most say they benefited from them. But in fact, the greater the volume of participants, the more questions that need to be asked. Surely the best system is one where no driver is offered a course because no driver is breaking the law."
What do you mean no driver is breaking the law?
Well,
how can you not be breaking the law?
What he's saying is, what it should effectively be doing, the numbers should be going down, not up. Because people, if they go to these courses and they are effective, shouldn't then be, reoffending.
Well, how, are they saying they're reoffending?
Lots of reoffenders. Because it's the same as the points on your licence.
Right.
If you go on one of these and you don't get done for another 3 years, and then you get done 3 years and a day, you can go on another one.
Right.
See?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what's your point?
My point is
They
that
should
they
do
are.
away with them.
Well, no. My point is this: that when I went on my course, I regarded the oaf who was running it as a completely incompetent buffoon who didn't understand anything about roads, about speed.
He was a former police officer, wasn't he?
I've no idea. I think he's from the Ministry of Transport. When I tried to explain to him that you must discriminate between people who drive cars like mine, which at the time was a sort of £35,000 Jaguar, and cars like the woman sitting next to me, which is a sort of £1,200 beaten up Skoda. You know what I mean? I said there's got to be different rules for her and me. And he said, would make sure he's Welsh, this guy.
You've seen the time, by the way.
Even though he was on the south coast.
Yeah, you've already told this story.
No, he said, and what makes you think you were so special, eh?
It's a good question.
Eh, boyo?
It's a very good question.
And I said, I don't think I'm special. I said, but if I'm driving a car that's worth £35,000, which has a triple safe braking system, then I am more likely to be able to control that car at a higher speed than the wreck she's driving, where the brakes probably don't even work anyway.
Incorrect.
So there's got to be different rules for different drivers.
Yeah, well, obviously,
that's what I told him.
Man of the people. But I'm afraid you've been proven wrong on that one. But anyway, coming up, we're going to be talking to John Krieger. He's got some news for us on the upcoming NFL game, which is going on. And also, also the USA versus Mexico. This is Talk Sport.
Y'all don't need to feel real sad, even though the world is crazy bad. We need to unify as one big team on a field of dreams. 4 years, one cup, turn the awesome up. I really love this world when the people sing thanks, buddy, for the real nice soccer. We're all coming together and we're gonna kick that soccer ball. Thanks, buddy, for the real nice soccer.
This is Talk Sport. We are the two mics. We've got loads more coming up, including the Porky Quiz, of course, on Donald J. Trump, the only story in town this week. Right now, we're going to talk to John Krieger. Just before we do
first,
that,
an amazing announcement.
Yes, what have you got for us?
Well, I was going to let you announce it, but it's from the world of music, not pop music, but a legend has sadly passed away. He is.
Leonard Cohen.
Leonard Cohen.
Leonard Cohen apparently dead at 82.
Died at the age of 82. Amazing. I mean, I tell you what, he wasn't one of my favourite singers, but some of my friends, right back from the days when I was on the Chester Chronicle, revered this man, as a sort of a Bob Dylan type figure.
Well, he was very much so. We'll talk about that a little bit later on. But let's talk to John Krieger first of all, because we've got lots to talk to him about. United States taking on Mexico, which is, of course, a very timely fixture in the World Cup qualifying, because, after what's been happening this week in the United States, Donald Trump being elected, the whole business with Mexico, it'll be very interesting indeed. John, a very good morning to you. Welcome.
Well, good morning, gentlemen. It's my pleasure to have a first appearance on the two mics. It's a wonderful show. Glad to be here.
Well, thank you.
Great to have you. Thank you very
much indeed. Now, I mean, you couldn't really get a worse time to have a United States against Mexico football match, could you?
I actually think it's an opportunity, if we can do it right, to mend some fences. I know the American Outlaws, the U.S. football supporters group that will be there in Columbus, is going to do their best to try and not make it one about partisanship. I know we've heard some things coming out of the Mexican camp about using the fixture to kind of get a little bit of revenge and stake Mexico's claim. But I know that U.S. soccer is doing its best to try to keep it a football match and not have anything more than that. There is precedent for this. The United States women's football team has taken on North Korea in a couple of World Cups, and there's certainly strained relationships there, and U.S. soccer went out of its way at that moment to try and make it about football. So one is hoping that, as U.S. soccer has said, they want to build
well, this is the difficult thing is when you talk about building bridges and mending fences, all you can think of is building a wall, which, of course, is what Donald Trump says that he wants to do. What I was more interested in, actually, John, is whether the populace, because we're seeing footage of lots of different sort of elements of civic unrest going on across the country with people who didn't want Trump to be president, kind of getting involved in a few riots and a few kind of burning of flags and all that kind of thing. I mean, is the opposite going to be going to also be the effect where some Trump supporters are going to be empowered by him getting in and perhaps using this football match as an excuse to kind of get nasty with some Mexican people?
You know what? I hope not, Mike. I hope that's not the situation that we have here. I hope it's not the environment we have. I would like to think that the football crowd that'll be in Columbus, a lot of which is of a younger generation here. And if you look at the exit polling in the election, the younger voters were decidedly supportive of Hillary Clinton over Donald Trump. One would hope that it'll be a better atmosphere. And if there is something like that, I hope it's quelled very quickly and we can get on to the football.
Indeed. Now, John, do we know what store the President-elect, Mr. Trump, puts on sport? Because some people with huge personalities who lead countries regard sport as actually the calling card for the whole country. Wars have started between countries over football matches. Does Mr. Trump regard the pride and the strength of the nation can be represented in sporting achievements?
I think he's a bit of a sports fan, but he hasn't really made a whole lot of sport during the campaign.
Yeah.
I think the bigger sport fan is actually Barack Obama, who went out of his way to attend sporting events while he was and while he is president of the United States.
Yeah.
The two sports links we do have for Donald Trump, we know that the New England Patriots, a couple of their key figures, Tom Brady and head coach Bill Belichick,
yes,
are Trump supporters. Belichick admitted he wrote a letter to Trump a few days before the election, and Tom Brady was seen with a Make America Great hat in his locker.
Right.
And so, there's a bit of a link there, but Donald hasn't really made a whole lot of sports. He is an avid golfer, I will say that.
Exactly, yeah.
Because he owns the course in Scotland. But in terms of team sport, we haven't seen a whole lot from him.
You can see him turning up at the Masters anytime soon, can't you? Well, when the next Masters competition is taking place, obviously.
Much point him going when it's not on.
No. Well, he might do, because until now, I bet he's not been able to get onto the Augusta course. But now he's the President of the United States.
I wouldn't be so sure about that.
They'd let him play it, I suppose.
I wouldn't be so sure about that. On a more football-y note, Mr. Parry will like this one. Tim Howard's back in goal for America, isn't he?
Indeed.
I'm sorry, say that question again, Mike?
I was saying, is Tim Howard not back in goal for the USA?
Tim Howard will be back in goal for the United States, and he's had a really good kind of resurgence for the Colorado Rapids.
He has.
Saved a couple of penalties in the MLS playoffs, and he'll be there. But tomorrow, I think, might be a little more about the youth movement. the United States. Jurgen Klinsmann has not at all been afraid to use young players. I think we'll see Cameron Carter-Vickers from Tottenham Hotspur play a role. I think we'll see Borussia Dortmund's Christian Pulisic playing a role. And so I think you might see a shift to his kind of younger, fitter type of player. There will be the U.S. stalwarts, but I think some of the young players that are trying to make their mark in the Bundesliga and the Premier League might get a run out in what is a very important fixture for the Americans.
Sure. Now, you're in Michigan, John, right? I mean, Michigan was a massively sort of important state for Trump, although it seemed to come in almost later than he needed it, if you know what I mean.
It's Russ Bucket.
But the Russ Belt, not Russ Bucket.
Yeah.
The point is that he kind of targeted Michigan, talked a lot about the car business and seemed to win that state just by virtue of his own kind of his rhetoric and just his appearances there.
Well, he kind of won the state because there are two parts of Michigan. Where I am is Detroit, and that went decidedly for Clinton. But the rest of the state is very conservative. And for a while there, it was assumed that the large African-American population in the cities in Michigan would come out and would support Donald Trump. What we saw was a lower-than-expected turnout there. And the rest of the state, which is decidedly red, decidedly Republican, came out in droves. It was something that in the days, in the 24 hours following the election, the Clinton campaign admitted they got very, very, very wrong. They admitted that they underestimated the amount of Trump supporters in the state. And it really was, I think, a hallmark of this campaign and where Hillary Clinton went wrong, assuming that a state like Pennsylvania would be firmly in her grasp, assuming that she could be more competitive in Ohio and win it, and certainly assuming that she had Michigan wrapped up. So as you take a look at it, the fact that Trump made a lot of visits the Rust Belt states in the final stages of the campaign, it really turned it on its head, and it was something that was surprising to a lot of us.
That's right. Are you worried at all, John, about the intolerance of some elements of society to accept democratic results? Because we've got over in this country, we had Brexit, as you well know, and there's an awful lot of people who believe that, hang on, that wasn't the right result as far as I'm concerned, let's do it again.
Well, you know what, and we're further divided here, Mike, because at least with Brexit, you had a straight up or down vote, and Brexit won, and I know the people that voted Remain stayed. But here, of course, we have the Electoral College, and the Electoral College is how Donald Trump will take the White House. But Hillary Clinton actually won the popular vote.
Yes.
And so it truly is a nation divided. We don't have the restart button. You know, we can't do what you've done and see the courts say that, Parliament will have to have its say and maybe kind of create a second de facto referendum on it. Donald Trump is going to be president, you would think.
Yeah.
But the thing about it is now you can already start the countdown for the midterm elections in 2018. That's the next time the Congress will come up. The Democrats lost some of their majority in the Senate. They're down to just a one-seat majority in the Senate.
Yeah.
And they lost a little bit of ground in the House of Representatives, too. And so there are already people posting countdowns with 700 some days until this country votes again.
Yeah.
I would expect to see a very hot political climate in the United States for the next 2 years.
Yep.
And unfortunately, a lot more of the same gridlock that we've seen for the last couple of years while the Republicans have been trying to take back the White House.
Yeah, right.
It's going to be very, very interesting indeed.
Indeed.
Now, just back to sport before we let you go, John.
Yes.
The Ravens and the Browns tonight in the NFL. Mike Parry's very keen to know how that's going.
Well, it was scoreless before I stepped away and talked to you. This one kind of a fun one. Normally it would be a very key NFC North rivalry.
Yeah.
But the bigger story here is that the Cleveland Browns are trying to finally get off the schneid. They are 0-9 on their season.
Oh, dear.
By all accounts, they should be 0-10. The only other NFL team to go 0-16 that is the Detroit Lions a few years back. And so my hometown has that scarlet letter across its chest. But the Cleveland Browns have kind of gone in and they are retooling their franchise. They brought in the man who was behind Moneyball for the Oakland Athletics in baseball and are trying to create that in a football motif. They traded away pretty much any asset they have, and they're one of the worst NFL teams we've ever seen. And so the biggest thing here is a winless team is playing a national televised game because the game was set before the season and trying to get their first win of the year. It doesn't look good for them, and we could be on our way to seeing another winless NFL season.
Oh, that would be pretty awful.
Pretty awful.
And Randy Lerner sold him off some time ago, so their luck hasn't changed really since the former Aston Villa manager got rid of him, right?
No, not at all. In fact, they've gotten worse. And the new ownership group have come in and they've kind of tried to figure out how to win NFL games on a budget. and kind of go and do that kind of Moneyball thing. And so far, it's not working at all. They are hapless. To call them hapless is about the best thing I can give them.
Yeah.
And it really is not a good advert for the NFL on a national TV game tonight.
No, indeed. Well, we'll keep abreast of it anyway, and I'll keep updating everybody because Porky loves to know what is going on in the latest NFL game, don't you?
I mean, you put words in my mouth there, which everybody knows are not true. I'm so indifferent to American football, I just can't tell you.
All right, well, don't tell me then.
Yeah.
This is Talk Sport. This is Talk Sport. We are the Two Mics. There will be a podcast coming up a little bit later on. We are, of course, back tomorrow on the warm-up from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. And then we're back on Sunday as well.
Yes.
From, I believe, 1 until 4 in the
That's
afternoon.
right. Yeah.
So quite a busy weekend for us, actually.
A busy week for me next week because on Monday morning I go to the Crown Court at Croydon.
Oh, really?
Got to do jury
you
service.
Never mentioned that.
No. Listen, I have to announce a national crisis.
A national crisis of what?
Well, I'm afraid to have to tell you that if you're going to have Christmas pudding or mince pies, that sort of stuff.
Funnily enough, I was in a supermarket just the other day,
right,
and they had a huge display of Christmas crackers on sale, half price, Christmas puddings, the whole thing. It's all out already.
Yeah, it is. It is all out already.
I didn't buy any though.
So Christmas pudding, mince pies, what else? Chocolate cake and all that sort of stuff. What do people have as a sweet on
Christmas pudding? You've said,
Christmas pudding,
cake,
mince pies, Christmas cake. Well, that's fine, but you'll have a very dry mouth. There is a national cream shortage. There's not going to be any cream over Christmas.
Don't talk rubbish.
There will be no cream over Christmas.
Absolute rubbish.
There will be no cream over Christmas.
We'll have brandy butter then.
You won't be able to.
What? So there's going to be no brandy butter either?
Well, there might be a shortage of butter as well. But the problem is, many.
And where'd you get this rubbish?
I'm telling you. I've had an inside look at a piece.
A creamery.
No, a piece that's coming out next week in one of my retail journals. Okay, and it's predicting that because so many
Milkmaid Weekly.
Because so many small British dairy farms have been forced out of business because the price of milk has plunged and plunged and plunged.
Don't believe you.
That it can barely cope with the supply of milk and dairy cream products at the moment. But when the rush comes at Christmas...
Well, why is it every time I walk into a supermarket, there are literally trolleys and trolleys and trolleys full of milk?
You wait until people start trying to buy cream for Christmas, and then what will happen is this. Either they will have to divert resources from milk and there'll be a shortage of milk, or they will have to say there isn't enough spare capacity from the dairy farms to provide the cream that you'll need for your Christmas pudding, your mince pies, your brandy butter, and everything else.
Isn't this because
there's going to be a national shortage of cream at Christmas?
No, I think you're wrong to try and spread this kind of panic buying. People will be rushing off now, even as we speak, to go and buy loads of milk and butter and cream because it will probably last that long. But it's absolute nonsense. I mean, we've heard so often, haven't we, from these people who say, oh, yeah, we're being forced out of business. They're not forced out of business. And what they're actually doing is making a lot more cheese, aren't they?
No, not at all.
Yeah, we had a cheese specialist on a few weeks ago who said that one of the reasons Britain is now one of the foremost producers of cheese is because it's actually more financially, savvy viable to actually make cheese with all the milk rather than selling the milk.
I've got some extracts from the report. Milk deliveries to the nation's dairies were down more than 10% in September compared to the same month last year. This is an official figure from the Agriculture and Horticultural Development Board, okay? Really? And this pattern has continued. The shortage has driven up the wholesale price of milk from about 20p a litre to more than 30p a litre. How about that?
How much do you pay for a litre of milk? You don't know, do you? That's the question they always ask politicians.
Yeah, no, I don't know.
Whether they're in touch with their populace.
Right.
Whether they have any idea what it's like to scrimp and save on a weekly basis.
You've just been talking about cheese, okay? Yeah. In September, UK wholesale cheddar prices were up 30.9% year on year.
Right.
Wowee. Do you know cheese now costs £3,175 a tonne?
I don't usually buy it in such large quantities. I mean, I do like cheese.
I mean, goodness gracious.
I've never actually bought a tonne of it.
Yeah.
I usually buy it by the kilo.
Yeah, okay.
Right.
Now then,
500 kilos or maybe 250.
Right. Now, a very important man called Sean Davis, Chief Dairy Advisor to the National Farmers Union. He says thousands of farmers have left the industry because of persistent low prices.
The farmers are always banging on about how badly off they are, and it turns out to be absolute rubbish.
I'm giving you the figures.
Absolute cobblers.
10 years ago, there were 13,700 dairy farms in England. Today, there are 9,000. That's England and Wales.
Yeah, but that's probably because some of the bigger ones have taken over some of the smaller ones.
He says, this is an expert, Mr. Davis, a number of farmers have given up completely and others have sold off many of their cows. As a result, production is down by around...
I'm looking at
around 10%.
My favourite online shopping arena,
Yeah,
okay?
yeah.
And for a pint of full cream milk...
Yes.
how much do you think?
24p.
49p.
Oh, for a what? How much?
A pint.
A pint?
Yeah.
Ah.
You could get 2 pints for 89p.
Right.
Or actually, you can get 2 pints for 75p.
Right, okay.
Unsalted
but you
dairy
see what
butter, £4.80 a kilo.
Yes.
So that's 250 grams, will cost you £1.20.
Yes, but what you're not doing is you're not putting into the loop the huge surge in demand for dairy products, i.e. cream, to put on your mince pies and your Christmas pudding.
Let me look up cream for you.
In the 2 or 3 weeks before Christmas. Well, it won't have come up yet. I'm ahead of the game, man. I'm smarter than the average bear. I foresee what's going to happen.
Well, surely...
And I'm warning everybody now. So if there's a panic buying spree on cream...
There won't be.
Over the weekend,
There
this
won't be.
weekend, it'll be
Every
down to
year.
me.
No,
and I'm proud
year.
of it.
No,
I'm proud of it.
Every single year, these people come up with all sorts of dreadful warnings about, you know, we're going to be running out of this, running out of that. I mean, you predicted a chocolate shortage, it didn't happen. You said Ferrero Rocher wasn't going to be
I
available.
was about to say, I raised these shortages with everybody.
Yeah, but they don't never come true.
Yeah, but it's because I raise it that they don't have shortages. Don't you understand? And that's what I'm saying.
How much do you think for 300 millilitres of double cream?
300 millilitres double cream?
Double cream, yeah.
89p.
Not bad, 85.
85,
You
there
must
you
buy
go.
a lot of it. How about sour cream you can get for the same price?
Ooh, sour cream.
Single cream, a little bit cheaper, 70p.
Yeah.
There's no sign of any great sort of price rises going on here.
Right, okay.
You know?
Okay, yep.
You're talking absolute cobbleros.
I'm certainly not talking absolute cobbleros or anything else. I'm merely ringing the alarm bells, and as I've rung the alarm bells before to try and ward off and avert these shortages, I feel that I am qualified and in a position to be able to make this announcement, and people will take me very seriously.
You can buy some cheese for £5.56 a kilo. Mm-hmm. Now I don't know what that transmits to in tons. How many kilos in a ton?
Oh, I don't know.
Do you want me to look it up?
Not really. I don't think it's terribly relevant,
well,
is
no,
it?
because how much do you say cheese was per ton?
£3,187.
£3,187. So if I do how many kilos in a ton, right, what do you think the answer is going to be? 907.
907.
Right.
Right, there you go.
So if a kilo is £5,
yes.
£5 times 900,
4,500.
What did you say it was?
3,700.
So that's more expensive.
It is.
Yeah. That must be the wholesale price.
Could be.
Yeah.
It just proves proves about supply and demand. Now, you won't believe this, but I've just been sent a paragraph from a popular political publication in which Dame Joan Collins has written a diary this week, okay?
All right.
And in it she says...
Did she mention you?
Well, maybe, because listen to this. In the diary, she talks of how she chases off fans who are seeking selfie photos with her, okay? Because, of course, the selfie is a modern phenomenon. Wasn't around in the days when she was Dynasty actress.
Well, no, but she used to have people standing next to her and having people taking pictures of that.
Well, that's right. And she says that while on the 1980s TV series Dynasty, a chap acquired a photo with her by standing next to her, very much like I was standing next to her at the 50th birthday party, okay? And claimed that they were engaged to get married. And he parlayed this into some modicum of fame on talk shows in Italy. The guy was Italian. He went back to Italy, produced this picture, gave it to a mate of his who was in the newspaper world. They published a picture saying, Italian man to marry Joan Collins.
Well, a bit like your spoof front page.
My spoof front page. And all of a sudden he became famous for 3 days. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, that was one of the things...
So what I'm saying is, this makes my picture even more credible. For many, many years now, for decades, she's been extremely reluctant to have a picture taken with people who she thinks are shysters.
Well, she looks pretty reluctant in that picture.
But she will have a picture taken with people who are genuinely worthy of the honour.
Right.
Like me.
Are you saying that you were?
Yeah, definitely.
Well, I'm sure she must have been absolutely thrilled. How about this from Lizzie, who says, Porky should walk in holding his ticker, holding a walking stick, borrow MG's dog.
Well, I might need to.
No jury service.
I might need to.
You're not borrowing my dog.
That's not a bad idea,
Now, William says, on this day in 1968, the Beatles released their album Two Virgins, in which John and Yoko appear nude. Has Porky got the album?
No, and I never bought it, actually, because I listened to a bit of it and I thought it was a load of rubbish. And it didn't have a picture of them both sort of, what's the word? They were in the fetal position.
The fetal position.
Yeah, the fetal position on the front.
Curled up on the floor, sort of up against each other.
Up against each other, that's right. And I thought it was a pretty revolting cover, to be honest. I know that John Lennon was in his, baggism and, hey man sort of phase and all that kind of stuff. But I still thought that was I thought it was a bit distasteful, a bit unsavoury.
Okay, bit unsavoury.
Yeah.
That's a funny thing.
Yeah.
Here's one from Rob who says, cream shortage at Christmas. I'm still waiting for the plague of 7 trillion daddy longlegs Porky predicted several weeks ago.
I tried to make it clear to everybody that sometimes I raise these things, okay, and that does lead to action, which averts what could have been an imminent disaster.
Yeah.
And anyway, look, you don't have to believe me in this one. You will be hearing this from experts in the next couple of days.
Yeah,
believe
but
me.
make it true, though.
You will
Sean
be hearing from the
this.
experts.
Sean says, very true regarding a cream shortage. There's a story every year regarding a shortage of something. Last year it was probably sprouts. It was. Every year there's a shortage of sprouts.
That's right, yeah.
But there never is.
Well, you say that, but I mean...
Well, there never is.
Well,
it's a farmer's PR tactic to try and put the price up.
Well, I don't think
That's
it is.
That's what it is. I can't believe you're so naive.
Well, I think your cynical attitude is unworthy of you, and I think you should take more note of what I'm saying and perhaps, just utter a word or two of faint praise for the fact that I'm on top of the game here and looking after our millions of listeners.
You just keep trying to alarm everybody with absolute nonsense.
Nope.
This is Talk Sport.
I forget to pray for the angels, and then the angels forget to pray for us. So long, Marianne, it's time that we began to laugh and cry and cry and laugh about it all again.
No, you can't say you don't like that song. Can you?
Is that Leonard Cohen?
That is Leonard Cohen. So long, Marianne.
I think that was a very young Leonard Cohen, though, wasn't it?
He sounds sort of slightly higher pitched than normal, doesn't he?
That's what I'm saying. I mean, I thought that I've never listened to a Leonard Cohen song, but I thought he was.
Well, you've just heard one.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, but it didn't sound like what I thought Leonard Cohen would sound like melancholy and wailing and gnashing of teeth.
Well,
and
it's
that
not
kind of
like
stuff,
that. I mean, he's a poet really more than he's a musician.
But he's very
I suppose.
dark. He comes from a dark side of life, doesn't he?
Well, I mean, you might say that.
Yeah.
I mean, certainly, I think he battled depression and he's had an interesting life and he's had various struggles.
Really, his music being sort of dull and boring and
well,
rather...
it's not dull and boring. It's about things.
Melancholic.
It's about things which can be melancholic, but things that affect you. I mean, it's not all about playing a banjo and jumping up and down and laughing the whole time, is it?
Well, no, of course it isn't. But I mean, what I'm saying is that some people write music to make it uplifting. I'm talking about like Mungo Jerry in the summertime or something like that. It's not exactly that, is it?
Mungo Jerry to Leonard Cohen.
No, of course you can't. I think Mungo Jerry are better by a mile.
No, he was the dark eminence, according to Rolling Stone, among a small pantheon of extremely influential singer-songwriters to emerge in the 60s
What do
and
you mean,
70s.
influential?
Only Bob Dylan exerted a more profound influence upon his generation.
What do you mean, influential?
Well,
who did he influence?
Well, he influenced everybody.
Oh, rubbish.
Apart from you.
Are you telling me that world leaders thought, now, I'm not sure what to do about the prospect of another nuclear war. Oh, I know.
Okay.
I think I'll put a Leonard Cohen record on. That'll influence me.
Yeah, I mean,
How ridiculous is
I
that?
sometimes gasp with horror at the outrageous nonsense you come out with and the fact that you are so culturally inane, right? What do you think happened during the Vietnam War?
During the Vietnam War?
What do you think happened during the Vietnam War? Do you think
it was a very
that Bob
unfortunate
Dylan,
encounter and lots of people got killed.
Do you think that Bob Dylan had any influence on American foreign policy? Of course he did.
Well,
Do you think
John
Leonard
Lennon
Cohen
certainly did.
Well, you're telling me that nobody did if they was writing songs. Well, if John Lennon did, right, so did Bob Dylan, did Leonard Cohen.
I agree Bob Dylan did.
So did Joni Mitchell, so did Paul Simon.
I was never aware that Leonard Cohen did, for goodness sake.
Well, he was very, very influential, that's what I'm saying.
I think he's a bit overrated, to be honest. I don't like to speak ill of the dead, and of
Well,
course
you
I don't.
are speaking ill of the dead.
Rest in peace, and thank you for your contribution to the artistic world.
I'm sure he's really, really disappointed.
You weren't one of my favourites, but I appreciate the contribution you made.
I'm sure he's really disappointed that, Mike Porky Parry, the seeker of truth and justice, who fakes pictures of himself with Joan Collins, was not a big fan.
But you see, you've just made a ridiculous statement there. I didn't fake the picture at all. I had my picture taken with Joan
nobody
Collins.
believes it's a real picture.
Well, I don't care what they believe. I can tell you my conscience is absolutely crystal clear.
Well,
because
your conscience must be clear.
I know where that picture was taken. You know where that picture was taken?
Where was it taken?
That picture was taken at the New Express building.
Yeah, but for her 50th party.
Well, actually, I think
Which
it was
would have been in
Nicholas's
93.
50th. I've just looked up my notes.
You know notes?
It was Sir Nicholas's 50th birthday
What
party.
year was that then?
Well, when he was 50,
Well, when was that?
I don't know. When
You
was he
just
born?
said you know exactly when it was taken.
Well, yeah, I do. Yeah,
You said you don't know the year it was taken.
Well, I can tell you now. It was 1989. Okay, and
You just made that up.
No, and I think Sir Nicholas was 50, and invited Joan Collins along because she was like a celebrity, and we got on like a house on fire. Believe me.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, what did she talk about with you?
We talked about everything.
Everything?
Yeah, the world and all that. She likes politics and all that. She likes discussing political
Why
affairs
did she
with
talk
me.
politics with you?
Because I was, the assistant editor of the paper and in charge of the political team. So I had a big role to play.
Cohen quickly became the songwriter of choice for artists like James Taylor, Willie Nelson, and many others.
Really? Yeah, but they all talk this rubbish about each other, don't they?
No, they don't.
Oh, hey man, I was influenced by the guy with the banjo and all this kind of stuff. You
have no understanding of music at all, do you?
Yeah, I think I do.
No, you don't.
I think I do.
During the 70s, Cohen set out on the first of many long, intense tours that he would reprise towards the end of his career.
Intense tours. What? Sorry, is that in his own head, or is that a physical thing that he went to play concerts?
I don't know why you want to just talk about a guy if all you're going to do is slag him off. He's just died. I think you should be a bit more respectful.
No, well, I am respectful, and I'm very sorry about his demise.
No, you're not.
At 82,
you're not sorry at all.
He had a fine, long, and very significant life, but he just wasn't my favourite, that's all.
What about Hallelujah?
I'm in a democracy, you can say that.
Yeah, you can say whatever you like.
That was the most boring and lamentable record I've ever heard. Yeah, I mean, that could literally drive you to throw yourself off a cliff, couldn't it, that one?
Well, with a bit of luck in your case.
Well, that's very nice, isn't it?
Well, you're slagging this
guy off.
You
think you should say things like that?
Yeah, I think I should say things like that.
What?
Because you are a complete and utter Philistine when it comes to discussing these matters.
Well, and so you think in return you could sort of advise me to go and kill myself?
I didn't advise you to do that at all.
You certainly did.
You're slagging off a guy who's just died at the age of 82.
I'm not slagging him off at all.
Who's had an immense influence on the musical world.
I'm merely...
And I think you should show more respect.
Hang on, excuse me. A critical analysis of his life is what he would have wanted. He was an artist, okay?
Oh, yeah. Right.
So, don't get on your all high and mighty on your high and mighty horse with me, pal.
I've got a high and mighty horse.
Yeah.
I've got a small and very, very powerful horse.
I see.
Now,
right, okay.
he just released his 14th album as well, just a few weeks ago.
Yes.
So he was still working right up until, literally the day that he died, practically.
It says here, Cheese and Cream. At last the two mics are having a mature discussion. Well, we're having an even more mature one now about Leonard Cohen, but thank you anyway to... Who's that come from?
Well, I'm trying to have a mature discussion. I think he was making fun of it, actually.
I think he was.
Cream and cheese.
Oh, here we go. Nicholas Lloyd was born in 1942, so he's 50 in 1992. So there you go.
So the party was in 92?
92, yeah.
Right.
How about that?
Well, so that was when the picture was taken.
Yeah.
The Sinister Pen says this. Leonard Cohen's The Stranger song is a magnificent piece of work. Tiger says, embarrassing ignorance from Parry following the sad death of the truly great and iconic Leonard Cohen.
Yeah, well, I'm sorry that he's died. And look, can I just say again, he wasn't my cup of tea, but that doesn't mean to say that I feel that he didn't make a contribution to life. He did, but his particular brand of music, to me, was unappealing. That's the word, unappealing to my lug hole.
Yeah, okay. Well, thanks very much for your contribution.
Yeah.
Maybe we should move on and talk about something that you're more familiar with.
Yes.
Like cheese.
What?
Well, you've just been telling us about the shortage.
Well, I've told you about the shortage already, and people have their own views on that because, as you quite rightly say, most Christmases there is a shortage, and that's because, of course, Christmas produces a bubble. And if you knew anything about economics and the way society works within the economic cycle, you would know that is exactly what happens.
Yeah. Well, unlike you, I actually studied economics.
Yeah, I did.
Did you?
Yeah.
What, during your sort of surveying degree?
No, I got a B in A-level in economics.
No, did you? Well, I studied at university,
which is one short of an A, okay?
It is one short of an A. It's indeed, you are one sandwich short of a picnic.
Listen, there's a new book come out, right?
Has there?
Yeah, it's great.
Have they sent a copy to you?
Eh?
Have they sent you a copy?
Yeah, they sent me a copy. They've sent me a copy.
What's it called?
It's called The Nation's Host. And do you know what it's about?
The Nation's Host, I would imagine.
No, it's about Butlins holiday camps and how they arose here, how Billy Butlin came from Canada with 5 shillings in his pocket and became the greatest sort of holiday entrepreneur in the world.
I didn't know he was Canadian.
He was Canadian, yeah. And a Canadian born in 1899. Oh, here, Billy Butlin, a Canadian born in 1899 in South Africa, first had the idea for his holiday camps between the wars. He noticed that in Britain it always rained, and yet families were locked out of their dismal boarding houses at seaside resorts during the day and had absolutely nothing to do. Everyone has a right to leisure, he insisted, not only the idle rich, who anyway could always escape the downpours by travelling abroad. I mean, that must have been a grim sight, mustn't it? You know, Blackpool, 1932.
Why would it have been grim?
And you're staying in a boarding house, right, and you're only allowed in between 10 in the morning and 6 at night.
Well, presumably that was why the promenade was so full of people walking up and down.
Yeah, exactly, that's right, yeah.
In those days, presumably the 30s, you couldn't really do anything about going into the sea.
No.
Because you'd have to be, hoisted in one of those bathing chairs, wouldn't you?
No, don't be
because women weren't allowed to show their legs, really, were they?
The 30s, of course they were. You're talking about the 1890s, man. You're talking about Victorian
What, you think in the
times.
30s that was all kosher?
Yeah, of course it was. Yeah, absolutely. Anyway, goes on to say that he picked up a load of Ministry of Defence camps that had been abandoned after the Second World War, because the troops had been
well, that was where they put a lot of refugees as well, wasn't it?
That's right,
yeah. Came over.
That's right, yeah. And he picked them up and turned them into holiday camps. What does he say here? It says with a fortune made from being the exclusive European agent for the newly invented Funfair Dodgems, right?
Right. So
he brought these Dodgems over from America. Billy invested £18 million in today's money in a 48-acre campsite in Skegness. The resort opened in 1936 and the season was fully booked.
Have you ever been to Skegness?
No, but I tell you what, as a family, we went to Butlins in Filey, which is also in Yorkshire.
Is it?
Skegness was just down the road, yeah.
Skegness in Lincolnshire, I'm sure we've had this conversation
yeah, Lincolnshire,
before.
That's right, yeah, you're absolutely right.
Here's a picture of Blackpool in the 1930s. There's a lot of people on the beach.
God, blimey, that's crowded, isn't it?
Yeah, it is very crowded.
Yeah, absolutely. It looks like Benidorm of the 60s.
Nobody's in the sea, though.
Hey?
Nobody's in the sea.
No, that's right, you're absolutely right. Now, it says here, the buildings at the first, Butlins camp, and public spaces were designed in the streamlined Art Deco style, lawns and flower beds. Adverts promised the diversion of the wealthy man's vacation at a price within reach of the ordinary individual's purse. And Billy aimed his all-inclusive package holidays at clerical workers, shop assistants, factory under managers, had he but known it, freelance literary journalists of modest means.
Really?
Whatever that means. Yeah.
Whatever that means.
Yeah.
How about this one I've got from Dave? He says, I work for a dairy company and I can assure old Porky there is no shortage. # misinformed plank.
Yeah, of course there's no shortage now. Who's that from?
It's from a guy called Dave who works for a dairy company.
All right, well, Dave, get set for the shortage, pal. You heard it here first, right? Wash out your ear holes, or your ears, well, whatever they are. Yeah, your ears, sorry, yeah. And, you don't normally talk about an ear hole, do you? Lug hole, that's what I meant to say. Wash out your lug holes.
Some people call them ear holes.
Ear holes, yeah, that's right, yeah. And please be aware of the fact that a shortage is on its way because the economic bubble of demand, will reach a peak over Christmas. Now, getting back to Butlins, right, because this is so interesting, because, of course, I went there with my mum and dad.
You've seen the time.
What distinguished Butlin was the sense of community, OK? And this was created by the bathing bell pageants, the knobbly knees competitions, and prizes for the loudest snorer, the shiniest bald head, and the bonniest baby. Having made the final of the glamorous grandmother competition no fewer than 23 times, 76-year-old Alice Matthews became a local celebrity in her hometown of Leeds.
Well, we are. How interesting is that? Not at all. Sean says this, the company I work for must be doing well then, as we are doing more milk tanker work at the minute than we have for the last few months. So it sounds like some more Cobbleros from you on the old alarm front.
Not at all.
Coming up, we're going to talk to Tim Vickery. He's been watching Brazil-Argentina, amongst other things. This is TalkSport.
Take me on a roller coaster. Take me for an airplane ride. Take me for a 6-day wonder. But don't you pull my ride side by side. What's real and made to be? Baby James and Acapulco, we are flying down to Rio.
It is International Weekend, of course, and while all the eyes over here are on England against Scotland at Wembley later on tonight, there's been an awful lot of action going on over in South America, not least the flagship game between Brazil and Argentina. Tim Vickery, of course, is there, and he was watching it for us here at TalkSport. Tim, very good morning to you. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. And, at my time in life, there aren't that many things that would get me on a bus, 7 hours, turn up in the morning of a game, kind of get some sleep somewhere wherever you can, come to the game, do the work, and then get back on a bus another 7 hours back home. But Brazil and Argentina is one of them, and I'm very glad that I did because we've got a few things to talk about, gentlemen.
Well, we have, and as you predicted, I think Argentina didn't quite arrive at the races with the same level of energy or skill, really.
Well, the fascinating thing about this game is that for 25 minutes, Argentina were just a little bit on top, probably. They had a cautious game plan, and understandably so. They covered up with two lines of four, but that man Messi, when he plays, he does make a difference. And poor old Fernandinho, who was of Manchester City, who was doing the defensive midfield task for Brazil, he got himself on a yellow card after 6 minutes for 2 fouls on Messi. And you're thinking then, Fernandinho is in for a torrid night and maybe a short one as well. It was Messi who engineered the best chance up to that point. It was a shot from Lucas Billia that Brazil's goalkeeper did very well to save. So at that point, 25 minutes gone, you're thinking, well, of the two sides, you'd probably rather be Argentina. And then 1 minute of magic changed, 1 moment of magic changed the whole thing. A little combination, a little pass from Neymar that put Felipe Coutinho near on goal, and he runs in, he cuts in from the left, and just almost as if he was putting it up and putting it into the top corner with his hand. So a magical shot from Coutinho, 1-0, and after that, the slowness and the lack of talent of Argentina's defensive unit looked horribly exposed. In the end, I think they were quite lucky to lose by only 3-0.
Yeah, right. Wasn't there a pretty bad foul on Neymar at one point as well? Because I haven't had a chance to look at it, but somebody tweeted me a little bit of video of that.
Well, the Argentines, for all their many virtues, are not the greatest losers in the world.
No.
There are a few fouls. On the one who your friend might be referring to was one by our friend Funes Mori, who didn't half take him out.
Isn't he an Everton player?
Yes,
yeah, he is. Yeah, absolutely.
Filthy Everton player.
No, very good Everton player.
Well, let Tim describe. So, what did he do exactly?
Well, it was Neymar in full flow, and Funes Mori had decided that perhaps either the ball was going to get past him or Neymar was going to get past him, but both of them, no hope. He was going to take something out, and he was very lucky. I think it was only a yellow card. I think the referee showed him a little bit of charity, and also he thought that the best way to punish him was to keep him on the field and be humiliated until the end of the game.
Right.
You know.
So did both teams get through it pretty much without any injuries? I asked that obviously because people who support their various clubs will want to know that.
Yeah, I don't think there were injuries. There was an injury to Man City's goalkeeper Claudio Bravo, who came off in his game for Chile, and Alexis Sanchez didn't travel to that game in Colombia. 0-0 draw there because he picked up an injury. But you can worry about this all over.
Oops. We may have lost Tim there.
No, I'm sure he'll be back very shortly.
He will be. We sometimes lose the line.
Immersed as he is in South American football. Doesn't seem to sparkle like we'd expect it to, does it? South American football these days. Since the demise of Brazil, do you know what I mean? You know, and the mystique and the majesty of South American football led by Brazil, it doesn't sparkle these days.
Do you not think
like
it's
it used
because
to.
the mystery has gone though?
Yeah, I'm sure it has. Yeah, I'm sure.
Because so many of them play now in Europe.
Yeah.
That basically, you know, I mean, Tim.
We only ever used to see Brazil when they got off the aeroplane to play in Europe. Absolutely, yeah.
Tim, sorry, I don't know if you heard that. Mike was saying the magic of kind of knowing about South American international football isn't quite what it was anymore, is it?
You know what I mean? The magnificence of it, the sheer mystery and the brilliance of these, you know, these genii guys who we hardly ever saw except when they got off a plane in Europe. That's all gone now because of worldwide television.
Well, and also we see them in Europe all the time.
Yeah, of course.
Well, familiarity has bred a little bit of contempt, I think,
It
hasn't it?
has.
And that was.
It has, yeah.
You know, for people of our age and so on, that was the magic of the World Cup. You know, you got to know all of these teams and all of the great players. You didn't know them beforehand. You got to know them during the course of the World Cup, and that's what made the World Cup so special. That's the thing that it's hard to understand to their younger generation. But that's why the World Cup was so magic, because you'd waited 4 years. I mean, Brazil only existed once every 4 years when there was a World Cup, and so you were desperate to see them, to see what they come up with this time. This time you know all about it because you lucky people over your side of the Atlantic, you get to watch these players every week.
Yeah, exactly right. Now, was this the first game back in the stadium since that loss to Germany in the World Cup, or have they played theirs before?
That's right, yeah. Now, imagine it. Brazil have never lost a World Cup qualifier at home. They lost in this stadium 7-1 the World Cup semi-final, but they'd never lost a World Cup qualifier. Imagine if they got beaten tonight. Imagine.
Yeah.
They don't want to burn the place down and throw it away as a jinx. You
Absolutely.
know?
Yeah.
And it's that made it such a big night for Fernandinho, because and he was one of the villains of that 7-1. He had a terrible game there. I really just don't know what happened to him. He went missing in that 7-1. And he had the difficult task of marking Messi. As I said, yellow card after 6 minutes. He's walking a tightrope. But he came through it very, very well, obviously, with the aid of his teammates.
Sure. And where does this now leave Argentina in the World Cup qualifying? Because it puts them pretty far down the table, doesn't it?
Well, they're down in 6th, which means that they're outside the qualification places, and we're well into the second half of the competition, so time to worry. The only piece of good news that they had tonight was that Paraguay were expected to beat Peru at home, and that would have taken Paraguay above Argentina, leave Argentina down in 7th. It didn't happen. Paraguay were 1-0 up, but managed to lose 4-1.
Oh dear.
So that's the only good piece of news for Argentina. Now, that brings Peru into the hunt, and it sets up Tuesday quite nicely, because Peru are at home against Brazil, And Peru will need a result to keep them in a hope. Do you remember the magic of watching Peru in the 70s and so on with that sash? You know, that really was glamorous. The first World Cup sticker I ever saw was a Peruvian from the 1970 World Cup. And I just fell in love with it from that moment. And also we've got Argentina against Colombia. And Colombia are very, very dangerous opponents. They will relish having a go at this rather ramshackle Argentina defensive unit. So we've got more hijinks and high drama on Tuesday night.
Indeed. Now, Tim, tell us a bit more about this amazing coach journey, 7 or 8 hours. I've never been on a coach for 7 or 8 hours. How do you do it?
You kind of sit down. You feel a little bit queasy as it kind of climbs up the hill.
Yeah.
You have a nice little 20-minute rest at one point when they stop off at service stations with big announcements saying organised groups of football supporters will not be attended.
Yeah.
And then you arrive. But then today, I got my accreditation.
Yes.
And then, it's like 10 o'clock in the morning and I'm free for hours then.
Yeah.
I just want somewhere to sleep. I've got to get some sleep.
So you've got a hotel or something?
Well, I wandered around all the hotels and they were all full because of the game.
Right.
What did I find? Now, in Brazil, I don't know if you've seen them, but they have kind of sex palaces.
Right.
Which are hired out by the hour.
Is this in Rio you're talking about?
This is in Belo Horizonte.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
So they're kind of hired out by the hour. Now, usually...
Belo Horizonte refreshment.
Wonderfully garish with kind of mirrors on the ceiling and round beds and so on. I absolutely love them. But I managed to find one which was really, really cheap, appallingly cheap.
Yeah.
But it's all I needed. I just needed a bed and have a place. I wasn't going to invite Jennifer Lopez there.
No.
It was just a place to crash.
But how much an hour do they charge?
That cost me, I was there for 6 hours and it cost me 15 quid.
15 quid? So
it's a couple of quid an hour, more or
So
less.
if you were enjoying horizontal...
Belo Horizonte refreshment.
Yeah, horizontal recreation, and you just wanted this room for an hour, you get that for like less than 3 quid, do you?
I think there's a kind of 3 hour minimum.
Oh, I see. Right, okay.
Yeah, and of course, in your case,
it
you
would
could
be
leave
less than
earlier
10.
because you wouldn't need the whole hour, would you?
I think he's talking to you there, Tim. Certainly not me. I have a track record with these sort of things.
Yeah, well.
No, that's all very fascinating stuff, because have you ever seen the film Romancing the Stone?
I haven't. It's one of those 80s films.
Yeah, that's right, with Michael Douglas.
No, I haven't seen it.
And Kathleen Turner gets on this bus, right? And this is like a 12-hour bus journey.
That's meant to be Colombia, though, isn't it?
Yeah, but it's South America, isn't it? All these things happen in South America. And halfway through the journey, they hit a tractor, and that's it. The driver just walks off and into the jungle and all that. And I just imagine that might happen to you on the way back,
Yeah, I trust not. So when I get on the bus, I will forget about us and put the blame on everyone apart from me.
Yes.
And hope that we don't meet that tractor on the road back to Rio.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, very good. Now, Venezuela beat Bolivia 5-0, so that's not a bad score for them. Uruguay won 2-1. Was Suarez playing?
Yes, he was. Yeah, no Cavani. He was suspended and injured as well, so he couldn't have played even if he wasn't suspended. It was a really good night for Brazil and Uruguay, who were first and second, 24 points and 23 points. They've nearly, after 11 of the 18 rounds, they're nearly there already. They're another 2 wins, and they're both home and dry. And the fact that none of the teams in a chasing pack won, it's given Brazil and Uruguay a nice little bit of a cushion. So they can put their feet up. They can even afford to lose a couple. It's no panic, no crisis.
Excellent stuff. Well, Tim, listen, thank you very much indeed. I'm glad you enjoyed that game, and have a good trip back. And don't listen to Porky's kind of, rather fictitious account of what might happen on a film set as opposed to what actually happens in reality. Just because you've seen it in Romancing the Stone.
That's right.
It doesn't mean that's what happens.
But it's very South American.
Well, how is it South American?
Well, you could tell
It's
it was
a
all
movie.
Completely chaotic and nothing was organised.
It's a movie.
Bus was going in the
So
wrong
your
direction.
view of South America is based on Romancing the Stone?
No, I've been to plenty of places in South America.
Really?
I've been to Argentina.
Have you ever been to a sex palace in South America?
No, I haven't actually. I've been to Chile.
Well, I'm surprised you haven't for 3
Been to
quid an
Brazil.
hour.
I've been to Uruguay. So I know a little bit of about South America.
From Basil, he said, "Could Porky rent a sex palace for 30 seconds?"
Yeah, you still have to pay for 3 hours. That's a problem. It's not value for money, is it?
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Gift Gaff says Nicholas Lloyd was born in 1942, 50 in 1992. Maths well off again. Porky was 38 in 1992. It says here.
Yeah,
Is that right?
Yeah, that's probably about right, I suppose. I don't know. I haven't worked out the figures. But I thought I looked like what one correspondent said earlier, a fine figure of a man standing next to one of the world's most beautiful women, Joan Collins.
When she was 50 or when he was 50?
Hey?
So if she was 50 in what was it, 1983?
83.
So she must have, in that picture, she must have been...
Nearly 60.
Nearly 60,
Yeah,
which is
exactly.
remarkable.
She looked fantastic, didn't she? Chap here says, can't sleep, so I've tuned in live to the two mics for the first time. But doesn't say whether or not he's, thrilled or otherwise.
Well,
So,
possibly otherwise.
Yeah.
Well, maybe he's looking for an update on the Cleveland-Baltimore game. It's 7-3 currently to the Cleveland who is it? What's the Cleveland name?
Browns.
Cleveland Browns,
Yeah,
there you go.
yeah.
So this may be their first win. Must be quite exciting.
So you
wouldn't
don't know that much about it, do you? If I've got to tell you the name of the Cleveland team, eh?
it? No, the Cleveland Indians are the baseball team.
Cleveland Browns, though, isn't
The
it?
Cleveland Indians are the baseball team who are in the World Series.
It doesn't matter. Well,
That's
it's
who I was
Cleveland Browns
thinking
is on about tonight,
Yeah, no, I
isn't
just
it?
forgot the name.
Just forgot the name. My God, you've got a mind like a sieve.
Okay, should we have a memory test next then?
You can if you want.
All right, we'll
Nothing wrong
start-
with my memory.
No, there's nothing wrong with your memory at all. This is Talk Sport.
I've heard there was a secret chord that David played and it pleased the Lord. But you don't really care for music, do you? It goes like this: the fourth, the fifth, the minor fall, the major lift, the baffled king composing hallelujah. Hallelujah.
Your face is an absolute picture. Why don't you like this song? It's such a great song. How
last
can you
time-
not like this song?
You know, last time I heard this song,
I don't know.
I was involved in horizontal refreshment
Really?
with a young lady who was a reporter on the Chester Chronicle while I was on the Chester Chronicle.
Well, you were on her, presumably.
Yes, in her parents' bed.
Blimey, I'm glad you said that.
In their big 5-bedroom
Jeez.
house in Upton in Chester.
Upton.
Yeah, and there were no mobile phones in those days, and I deserted my regular
Well,
girlfriend.
there probably weren't many regular phones either.
No, I deserted my regular girlfriend, Trudy, because we'd gone for a drink after work. And
Trudy, what, the famous Trudy that you're carrying out of the briny sea?
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
Who was in love
And-
with you?
Yes, exactly,
What a
yeah.
cad you are.
I was a bit of a cad. And actually, I didn't mean to say the name, actually.
What, Trudy?
Yeah, I meant to say, I didn't mean to identify anybody. And
Well, as long as your memory's okay, that's fine.
yeah, and
So what was the other girl's name?
Helen Hughes.
Helen Hughes.
Yeah. And she took a shine to me after a few drinks and went back to her place. Her parents
And
were
so
away.
did she have Leonard Cohen then?
Yeah, exactly. She was a huge Leonard Cohen fan. You know,
Right.
she put this music on as a romantic sort of background to
I thought you
the
told me the
activities.
story and said that you didn't like Leonard Cohen and that she kicked you out.
That was another night
Ah.
because the thing developed. You see.
Oh, I see.
Yes. So I sort of
So
tolerated
once
it for
you'd
the
had
first
your
night.
wicked way with her, you just told her the truth.
Well, not really. I started getting a guilty conscience about things. You know.
What?
You know.
You?
Yes.
Guilty
A little
conscience?
bit. Yeah.
First time for everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But don't worry, it was all under control.
It's a great song anyway, and Jeff Buckley, of course, made it even more famous.
Who's
'cause
he?
Had a big. Well, he's another singer-songwriter guy, but he recorded a version of Hallelujah.
Why don't they write their own records instead of copying other people's?
Well, because lots of
I mean,
people
would Leonard
do.
Cohen have
Lots of
written that,
people-
or was that some sort of old
Leonard
folk
Cohen,
song?
No, Leonard Cohen did write it, but I just read out to you before for
Yeah.
the Rolling Stone obituary
Yes.
that he became the choice for an awful lot of other singer-songwriters because they liked his songs so much
Yeah,
and they
but
would
all,
re-record them.
it's all scratch my back, I scratch yours,
Well, it's
isn't it?
not
They go
really.
around saying, oh, he's a great singer.
Well, I
and
mean,
then,
you were talking about Please Please Me the other day,
Yes.
which is full of songs by other people, not songs written by the Beatles
Yeah, sure.
at all.
Yeah.
So what's wrong with that?
Well, that was the early Beatles, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Talking about the Beatles, by the way, Ringo Starr once stayed at Butlins Pathelli.
What?
I've still got my book here on Butlins. The entertainment
Oh,
was
you're
always
still going on
lavish.
about that?
Yeah. Gracie Fields drew a crowd of 10,000 fans when she performed at Skegness. Laurel and Hardy in person judged a beauty pageant. Ringo Starr did 2 seasons at Pathelli. Can you imagine that?
Was that after the Beatles?
No, it was before.
Well, what was he doing?
He was in Rory and the Storms.
All right.
Yeah. At Pathelli, where he was visited by Lennon and McCartney, who were in the Quarrymen.
Uh-huh.
He went straight from Butlins to join them in their newly formed group, the Beatles. How
I
about
see.
that?
Yeah, well,
Isn't that amazing?
Doesn't surprise me, really.
Julie
So it's the only place
Andrews,
where he could go.
when aged 13, brought the house down at Clacton.
Hmm.
And in 1979, this is great, a young lady called Catherine Zeta-Jones
Uh-huh.
was a finalist in the Junior Star Trail competition.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember doing a story on that, actually.
Really?
Yeah. Well, I mean, when you were doing research into Catherine Zeta-Jones, she became a massive superstar.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
She'd won something at Butlins.
Oh, I
or
see.
She was a finalist or something like that.
Wow.
Now, a couple of things to mention to you. Have you seen the news about your mate Steve Sherwood?
Steve has gone to a lowly First Division club as director of football.
Swindon. Well, it's not lowly particularly. I mean, Swindon's got a reasonable sort of pedigree. But Steve said that they used to bring quite a few players up to Tottenham from there.
Yes, he did. Well, of course, if my memory serves me right, Glenn Hoddle cut his teeth at Swindon, didn't he?
And did he not go back there at one point as well?
He may have done. He started off there as player-manager, then became manager, got some good results, as a guy like Hoddle would at a club like Swindon.
But there's a relationship, I think, between Spurs and Swindon.
I think there must be. And did Swindon make it into the top division for one season? I'm sure they did.
I think they did a long time ago.
I'm sure they did, yeah.
Long before the Premier League, though.
Swindon itself, though, it's a town of two halves, isn't it? It's got Old Swindon, which is rather nice.
Well, it's not that nice.
Well, Old Swindon.
No. I used to live down there.
Yeah, oh, did you?
I can tell you all about Old Swindon.
And then it's got New Swindon.
That's where I went for the interview for the Wiltshire Bugle.
Oh, that's right.
When
of course,
my ex-wife wanted me to get a job in the Shires.
Yeah, that's right.
She thought that the temptations of London were too much for me, and it'd be much better if I stayed in Swindon.
She wanted you to work locally. Locally in the Wiltshire region.
When I told them how much money I need, they nearly all fell off their collective chairs.
Do you know what? It's funny. It's funny you should say that.
I mean, it was ridiculous. I was between me and another guy.
Yes.
And they decided that in the end they said to me, well, the thing is that one, we can't really afford to pay you the kind of money you're asking, and also two, we're not sure that this would be what you're used to.
Yeah. I tell you, that's so funny, right? Because when I was between papers, so to speak, between papers,
I was unemployed at the time.
Well, I suppose I was between papers. And I decided, I tell you what I'll do now. I'll now concentrate my life on regional journalism and become a huge star in regional journalism because I'm so good. Having been in Fleet Street, I will blow their socks off.
But they don't want to actually give you the job.
Well, no, we are. This is what happened. So in those days, the Press Gazette used to have 6 pages of adverts at the back for jobs and lots of them regional. And I went to see the guy in the Oxford Mail.
Oh, yeah.
And I was interviewed there for the deputy editor's job. And he was a really nice guy, actually, really straightforward, and really respected the fact I'd been in Fleet Street.
Did he?
And it's going to be a good relationship, you know.
I hope it wasn't the guy that lied to me about coming to work for me and then got the editor's job at the Oxford Mail.
Oh, really?
He actually rang me up and said that he was suffering from a terminal illness and he wasn't going to be able to come to work. And literally the next week, he was announced as the new editor of the Oxford Mail.
Well, who were you working for then?
At the time I was at the Mirror, so that was late 90s.
Was that in the Wales region?
Yeah, but I was in Canary Wharf.
Yeah, sure, yeah. But anyway, so I thought the Oxford ones, right, I sort of put that on hold for a bit, because then there was an advert for Bradford, for the Bradford... It's an exotically named paper. Bradford...
Isn't it the Bradford Gazette or something?
No, it's the Bradford Post and Echo or something like that.
Okay.
It's got a long and quite nice name. Bradford Telegraph and Argus. That's right. The Bradford Telegraph and Argus. So anyway, so I go up there. And I knew quite a bit about that part of the world, having started off in the national newspapers on the Express in Manchester. Right. And, of course, I was involved in the Ripper hunt. Yes. And where did the Ripper come from?
Well,
Bradford.
you were the one that found it,
exactly.
Did you tell him that?
Well, I didn't get round to it.
Well.
I didn't get round to it, actually. So, and I thought, well, look, Bradford itself is not a great city in terms of its culture and all that, but it is, as all cities in Leeds are, surrounded by beautiful countryside, little villages that you can go and live in cottages and all that. I even got to the point where I was looking at, cottages to buy and all that. But anyway, so I go to see old Parry somebody Evans.
Right.
He's one of these pompous little fellas, fat little fellow with glasses, and a waistcoat, and had a double-barrelled surname,
You'd have been great, actually, as your local Bradford sort of local newspaper editor.
That's right, yeah. I saw myself in that role,
You could have just swanned around with a waistcoat on and sort of pushed everybody around.
And I'd have called myself Bradford's number one...
And you'd have got to the front of the queue for the Bradford disco.
Yeah, that's right.
You'd be quite happy.
And I would have been Bradford's number one citizen, you know what I mean? Right. And I had a great relationship with the local police chief and all that kind of stuff, so that the cops would assist me getting home late at night in the back of a police car, if I was bladderated and all that kind of stuff, But anyway, so I go and see old Perry Richard Evans, whatever his name was, I can't remember his name now. Pompous little fella. And it was all going well until he said, yes, Michael. He said, well, of course, the vacancy is for deputy. I said, yes, that's great. He said, but of course, we're part of a very big group, and who knows, maybe an opportunity for you to move into the editor's role on one of our, sister titles. I said, yeah, that's great. I'm really looking forward to it. It'd be great, really want to sort of throw my, my life into regional newspapers. He said, yes, really good. Now, he says, now, what are we looking at here in terms of remuneration? He says, because, of course, you chaps have to understand that we're a different different world here. I said, oh, yeah, that's okay. It's no problem at all. He said, for instance, what was your last pay packet with your Fleet Street employer?
Yeah.
And I said, 85 grand a year. He said, what? I said, are you trying to take the mickey out of me? I said, no. He said, are you having a joke? Are you trying to belittle me? I said, no. He said, do you know how much I earn? And I'm the editor-in-chief of the group. I said, no. He said, I earn 38,000. I said, oh, all right, that's not very much, is it? You know.
Well, this is the thing.
So he said, you'd be lucky to get half of your 85,000, my boy, even if you ever succeeded in my job. I don't know who the hell you think you are. And all I'd done is answer
a question.
I'd answered a question.
Well, that's what happened when the Mirror merged with Trinity. Because Trinity was the sort of the paper that owned Liverpool Echo.
Exactly,
and all the rest of it.
big regional group.
Yeah, big regional group. Yeah. But when they merged with, they discovered that there were so many journalists who were making more money than their directors.
And their editors, that's right.
That they immediately gave themselves a pay rise.
Yeah, exactly.
Because they thought rather than trying to cut the wages of the journalists.
We've got to get ourselves up to that level.
We've got to get ourselves up to that level. So they all loved it. Yeah. Absolutely loved it. Yeah. Now, a lot of people have fallen, I'm afraid, for what was obviously the deliberate mistake. They said, it's not Steve Sherwood, it's Tim Sherwood, you planks.
Of course it is.
Yeah, we know that. We just call him Steve.
It's a joke. For
goodness sake, get with the programme. It's getting tight in Baltimore, by the way. 7-6 now to the Cleveland Browns against the Baltimore Ravens.
No, it's not, is it?
Maybe they won't get their first
God,
win after
blimey.
all. Now,
wow.
I've got to tell you
things
something.
That happen.
Now, I've got to tell you something else which is American related, okay?
Oh, yes.
And it is about our favourite manager, Bob.
Okay,
Bob
Bob.
Bradley. Swansea, appointed just over a month ago, right?
Yes.
He's had 3 defeats and 1 draw. Apparently, just on a couple of days ago, he had the odds slashed from him being the next manager to be fired from 33 to 1 to 6 to 4.
That's a big drop.
That is a massive drop.
And how many games has he been in charge?
4.
You're not going to get... I mean, a man's not going to get the sack after 6 games, is he?
Surely not.
Eh?
Well, I mean, it would be after 5, I suppose, wouldn't it? If it was after the next one.
Yeah, but I was going to say, give another couple of games or something like that. But, I mean, quite frankly, it was a ridiculous appointment because...
Well, you see, I thought he would do well, but
no,
I mean, unfortunately,
you did say that, and you're on record as saying that.
Yeah, well, of course I'm on record as saying it. Unlike you, I'm more than happy to say what I've said in the past and admit to, if it turns out to be wrong, I'll be more than happy to admit that I'm wrong.
I recognised immediately that he was out of his environment. He was out of his comfort zone.
You slag off any foreign manager that comes in.
No, I don't.
You said Claudio Ranieri wouldn't be any good.
But most Americans don't know a lot about football.
Soccer.
I'm sorry to have to say that. You know, I mean, Tim Howard might have a good chance of doing something in the low levels of management in this country, because he played in the Premier League for so many seasons, both with Manchester United and Everton. But a guy like Bobcat Bob, push the envelope, and you get a lot of things on my radar.
Many people are now picking up on the envelope being possibly his P45.
Well, exactly. I think you suggested that first, in fairness.
Yes.
And the problem is that he doesn't have any connection with anything that's going on here. And if he goes into the dressing room, and starts telling the guys, you gotta get respect, and all this kind of stuff, then,
I do feel a bit sorry for him, though, because in every one of Swansea's games, they've actually never been that far off the pace. They've never looked terrible. They haven't looked as bad, for example, as some other teams have looked. I don't want to bring this up again, but as bad as Everton looked against Chelsea, they haven't looked as if they've ever been, out of the game. They've always just kind of lost.
Problem is, I got you now, boy! He hasn't been able to shout from the touchline so far because he hasn't had a victory.
He hasn't. Vicky says this, 85 grand a year, and he eats in Wetherspoons, goes to Butlins on holiday, and only wears the same blue shirt every day. What a plank.
Yeah, well...
I think she's referring to you.
Yeah, I probably is, so I can just ignore that one. Don't you think it's amazing,
man says, Porky says, you're the one with morals on alley cat. Poor Trudy.
Well, I'm sorry. That name shouldn't have slipped out. And in fact, please do not think that that might be the definitive course of events. It may not have been.
Are you saying that's not a true story?
I'm just saying.
Hang on, you mentioned Trudy every time we do a live show, though.
No, I don't.
Yeah, you do.
No, I don't.
Trudy figures
I see.
in the live show.
Live show. Yeah, sorry. I thought it was a radio show. Yeah. Listen, I'll tell you something I wanted to raise with you, right? Now, that everybody's gone mad on the old Gascoigne goal against Scotland in 1966.
Yes, which they've been reprising.
1996, I'm sorry. I was there and I saw it.
Yeah.
And I have to say that the situation is that obviously it was quite spectacular. However, nobody, in all the dozens of reports I've read about it being one of the greatest England goals ever, has figured out what was obvious, and that is that Gazza miskicked the ball when it came back down. After,
What do you mean when he knocked it over Colin Hendry's head?
He flipped it over Colin Hendry's head.
Yeah.
Colin Hendry spun around, but
Yeah.
it was too late. It was coming down. Gazza had run round him.
Yeah.
He then whacked it, but he hit it off his shin. He didn't hit it off his foot.
Really?
No.
But isn't that the mark of a great goal scorer, though? I mean, a number of goals that Alan Shearer would tell you he scored
Yeah.
off his shin.
Yeah.
Even Wayne Rooney, who's starting the game, of course.
Yeah.
Wayne Rooney's bicycle kick, that famous one, that one
Sure.
goal of the season or whatever. I suppose what that tells you is that if you're a proper craftsman of the game, you get yourself in such a position that any part of from your sort of knee down will score a goal.
I mean, I'm not knocking it, obviously, but
Sounds like it.
But I'm amazed somebody didn't say he hit off his shin, and because it didn't go, the direction of it wasn't true.
Yeah.
If it had hit his boot, the direction of it would have been completely different.
Maybe.
You see what I mean?
But also that may explain why the goalkeeper wasn't anywhere near it.
No, that's exactly right. That's what I'm saying. The goalkeeper was fooled because what the goalkeeper thought was going to be a thunderbolt, in fact, turned out to be a dead ball. It came down, hit it on the shin, it hit the ground, and it rolled in.
It went very
That's
low
right.
on the ground. Didn't it?
Absolutely.
It went
yeah.
quite fast, though.
Yeah. Yeah, it did go quite fast. I agree, but it went completely along the ground and not in the air. But anyway, I only mentioned it because I haven't seen anybody else mention it. I was there on the day, and that was the very first thing that occurred to me.
Did you know that on the day then when you were
I
watching
did.
it?
Yeah, we were talking to people, and I was actually sitting in the press box, and I said to people, "Blimey, that was lucky, but it came off his shin, didn't it?"
Wasn't that also the day of the Uri Geller episode where he was supposed to have moved the ball on a penalty spot? Because Uri Geller was supposedly,
You mean for the Seaman save?
Yeah, for the
Was it? Yeah,
was
might
it the
have been.
McAllister penalty?
Yeah, it was
McAllister?
McAllister. Yeah, well, I mean, it was a direct result of that save from Seaman. England went down the other end and scored.
Yeah, but was that not the first time that Uri Geller was kind of drafted in by somebody? I can't remember who. I mean, we drafted Uri Geller in here on Talk Sport a couple of times to try and get England to win.
Yeah, we did. Yeah.
And he actually, I think, managed to convince everybody that he could do it. But supposedly he claimed afterwards that he made the ball move on a penalty spot just before McAllister kicked it, which would have then made it more difficult for him to put it where he wanted.
I don't suppose you'll ever be able to prove or disprove that, would you?
Well, you could by looking at the footage, I suppose, and seeing if the ball actually did move.
I think you'll find that any footage would be concentrating on the face of the penalty taker rather than the ball on the spot. You see what I mean?
Sure.
So that would be difficult. The other thing...
Well, you can maybe isolate it.
Yeah, well, look, if somebody can, they should, to try and prove if that's true or not.
Right.
The other thing I was going to say was that I read a 2-page spread on Paul Gascoigne earlier this week because obviously, it's all the build-up to the game tonight, England-Scotland, which, by the way, is an interesting event, but it's not a huge game to me.
Well, funnily enough, Gordon Strachan was talking in his press conference today.
Yes.
That it's, he doesn't need to motivate his players because
That's
everybody
right,
knows
yeah.
it's one of the biggest fixtures of all time.
Well,
and I mean, you're right to say that it's
Yeah.
kind of become less of that now.
Of course
But
it
he said, I mean, I thought about this when he said it. He said, but it's a fixture known around the world.
Yeah.
And it probably is, actually.
Well, it probably is.
It probably is.
The two other things he said was, I don't feel I have to show my players, footage of previous England-Scotland games. And they was having a dig at Gareth Southgate because apparently Gareth Southgate sat them all down and said, watch this.
Yeah.
This is when Gazza did it and all that kind of stuff. I don't think that motivates modern-day players.
Well, there's something about the way that England play, though, that something needs to motivate them. Because they never look particularly motivated, do they?
But
I'll tell you
anyway,
what somebody else tweeted me today
yes.
was a report, and it was Harry Carpenter anchoring it, so it must have been back in the sort of mid to late 70s, I would suppose. And it was Hugh McIlvenney talking to camera about the history of England v Scotland, and the first game was played sort of sometime in the 19th century.
It was the first ever
on a cricket
international
ground,
game.
But it was played at a cricket ground.
That would have been in the Oval, I suppose.
Well, it was in the Oval in England later.
Yeah.
But the first one was in a cricket ground in Glasgow, believe it or not.
Really?
Yeah, and then and then back down in London, they played at the Oval for a while.
Right.
Because it was very much a sort of public schoolboy
Yeah,
type
exactly.
thing.
Yeah, amazing. But this 2-page piece I read, right, and it was a direct talk with Paul Gascoigne, who
like now? I
mean, they probably interviewed him 36 hours before it was published.
Right.
And we all know the problems that Paul Gascoigne's had in recent years.
Yeah.
But what I found difficult was it was written by a very respected journalist, and Gascoigne got away with a line which said, "When I stopped playing football, my life was empty, and that's why I turned to drink."
Yeah.
Now, I would have... I'm not having a go at a fellow professional, a scribe, but, I would have challenged Gascoigne on that, on the basis that, no, Paul, you had a very, very serious drink problem at the age of about 22 or 23 because you indulge yourself in it.
But what I suppose he meant was that was then all he had left, and he turned to drink because I had to replace the football.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is there should have been a more examination of how his career was so badly damaged by drink in the early part of it. I mean, for instance, Mike, what I'm saying is, when he did himself in the cup final in '91,
yes,
which led to the injury which postponed his move to Lazio, and in fact it was a very serious cruciate ligament injury, much more serious in those days than they are now.
Yeah.
That injury was almost better when it went again, because he was in a nightclub in Newcastle, and he went to the loo, to the urinals, and he stepped up onto a step to use the urinal, and he either slipped or somebody got him, and he fell back off and did his knee in again.
Right.
Now, he was absolutely blood-racing at the time. So, things like that contribute in a big way to Paul Gascoigne's downfall.
And also, don't forget...
while he was still a professional footballer.
The celebration of that particular goal as well was, of course, the dentist chair scenario, wasn't it? Because he ran to behind the goal, lay down and pointed to
which I thought was pretty disgraceful, actually. And people celebrate now and say, oh, it's the best celebration of a goal ever. No, it wasn't. It was a pathetic replication of a disgraceful scene that had happened in Hong Kong whilst the team were on tour before a major tournament.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
Now, I've got some advice for you on your bad back coming up, so stay tuned for that. And, of course, it's Porky Quiz time very, very soon. It's on Donald Trump.
Dance me to your beauty with a burning violin. Dance me through the panic till I'm gathered safely in. Lift me like an olive branch, be my homeward dove, and dance me to the end of love.
Sam has tweeted in at the two mics. Leonard Cohen's a true poet. His wonderful song Closing Time contains great lyrics like the Johnny Walker wisdom running high.
Now,
Closing Time
was that Leonard Cohen we just heard?
That was also Leonard Cohen.
No, I thought that was quite pleasant. That was quite a
one?
pleasant melody. Yeah, I felt that was quite good.
Well, I think, in fairness, you should probably listen to a bit more of it before you become quite so sure about the fact that you don't like it.
Yeah, okay.
How about this from William, who says, am I right in that it's split allegiance for you to MG Scotland, MP England? Well, yeah, it is really, because I'm saying that I think England will fold slightly at Wembley, because they always do, and they never play particularly brilliantly. Well, Porky thinks that the Pep Southgate will be able to rally the troops and they'll win. Well, and on paper, you'd have to say England are better than Scotland.
I don't think it's anything to do with Pep Southgate, because I'm going to talk about him in a second, but I think that the England team, as professionals, have to say to themselves, look, we're basically playing a team here which are about championship level, and we're not. We're either, Premier League footballers, or we've played for teams abroad, or we played in the Champions League, or whatever, and they have to actually look at the opposition and say, we are better than them, we've got to impose ourselves upon them. Now, as for old Pep Southgate, right, this,
as he's become known by us.
This very earnest look he has now, and I hate to call press conferences because that makes it out to be that they're just for the press, but it's not. It's a conference in which they're talking to the millions of football fans who follow England through the the media, newspapers, radio, and TV. Now, what I'm saying is, he said, "I have been tasked." That's the word he used.
Tasked, yeah.
With the control of the England team for 4 games, and then he said, I enjoy the responsibility. I'm enjoying the job working with these sort of footballers.
Yeah.
Now, to what extent do you think anybody should be so self-contented and happy that they enjoy their job?
Well, I'm different from you, because you've always made this argument that you can't be doing your job very well if you're enjoying it.
No, I don't think you can.
I disagree with that.
I don't think you can.
I totally disagree with that. I think that if you're not enjoying your job, you're not doing it properly. Because if you're not enjoying it, then you're going to be constantly under the wrong kind of stress. You're going to be under pressure, which you're putting yourself under. And if you're not walking into a job with a sort of a smile on your face because you don't want to do it, then you won't do it as well as somebody who is. Yeah,
but you see, what I believe is this, and a lot of the world's top philosophers agree with me.
Do they?
Like
who?
Descartes.
Descartes?
Yes.
You mean Descartes?
Yes, exactly.
How do you know he agrees with you?
Because I've read his philosophy, and this is something we both agree on. Once something you do for pleasure becomes something you do as a profession.
Well, you don't have to be so black and white.
No, hang on. Yes, you do. As a job, then the enjoyment element of it has to be squeezed out completely because you have so much responsibility
No, I think that's rubbish.
to do it properly.
I mean, for example, particularly with regard to sport and playing football.
Yeah.
I mean, people talk about the weight of the England shirt. You know,
Yes.
how Fabio Capello used to talk about it. You
Yes.
know, and how it weighs heavily on the shoulders.
That's right.
Or however he used to speak.
Yes.
You know, and when people talk about footballers playing with a smile on their face, they play better.
Yeah.
So, in fact, your analogy is completely
Any
and utterly
footballer
wrong.
who actually enjoys playing football has not got his head in the right place. You
I
can't
disagree.
enjoy playing football because...
No, that's rubbish.
At
Wayne
every-
Rooney, who you wrote a book about,
Yes.
you know, he likes to play football. People have always said about Wayne Rooney,
Yeah.
he will play in defence for you, he will play left back, he'll play right back,
Yeah, he will.
he'll play in goal because he loves playing football.
Yeah, but if you sat him down and asked him and said, "Oh, you know when you put on that Manchester United shirt and you're leading the players down the tunnel out onto the magnificent arena, which is Old Trafford,
Yeah.
do you have the same thrill in your heart that you had when you were playing for the school you went to in Croxteth?" And you would probably win 18-0
Well, he
and
might
you'd score
say
6
yes.
goals.
He might
no,
say yes.
No, he wouldn't. He wouldn't.
Well, how do you know that? He didn't interview for the book.
No, I didn't. But I can tell you that the responsibility of, of leading from the front, of authority, of having not to let down 72,000 fans inside a stadium and 1 million around the world means that you can't enjoy it. And I think
I must
Gareth,
admit, it doesn't look as if most of the England players enjoy playing
No,
for England.
exactly. And
But,
for
I think,
Gareth
but I
Southgate-
think to say that you can't enjoy your job is nonsense.
Well, yeah, but in the context that Gareth Southgate says, I'm enjoying the responsibility, I'm enjoying working with these players, that is so self-absorbing. I'm not interested whether he's enjoying it or not. I'm more interested in whether he's going to bring results to England, not just against Scotland, but on a long-term basis,
Well, maybe he was
so
asked
that
the
England
question.
become a power in the world again.
Yeah, but maybe he was asked the question because sometimes
wasn't.
when you
He
see,
wasn't.
when you see these press conferences, you don't see the question.
No, I'll tell
Somebody-
you what the question was.
What
This
was
is exactly the point. The question was, you must be constantly aware of the fact that you're on a 4-game trial.
Yeah.
That was the question.
Yeah.
And he said, no, I've been tasked with the responsibility to lead England for. I'm enjoying that responsibility. I'm enjoying the job. No, I'm not interested in enjoying the job or not, Gareth. I really am not,
But he's also trying to be careful not to say anything which will be misconstrued as well, isn't he? So,
Yeah.
I mean, he's giving an answer which is really not an answer.
He should have said, I'm doing the job to the best of my ability at all times, which in fact he did say, actually, in fairness to him, and then went on to say, I'm enjoying the job, And he said, it's all I can think about. But when people say, no, I'm really enjoying the job, enjoying the challenge, you can't do a job properly for enjoying it.
I don't agree.
You have to be in fear of your job at
No.
all times to be able to do a job properly.
No.
Yes,
No, that's
you
not
do.
true.
You do.
If
you do.
people are frightened of what's going to happen if they don't do the job
Yeah,
properly,
yeah.
then they are constantly nervous. They will never be creative, and they will always
Yeah.
be,
Okay.
doing less
All right.
than they should do.
All right, on a much smaller level,
Yeah.
when we go on stage and do a live show,
Yes.
are you thrilled and happy and I'm enjoying my job?
I would say so. It's a pretty good job to have.
Yeah, but surely you must have, and I know you do have, reservations every second before we
Of
go on
course,
stage because you're
absolutely.
thinking, hope we get
you
this
wanna-
right tonight.
Well, yeah, of course you do.
Yeah.
You want to do it well.
Yeah,
But
and
that
you-
doesn't mean you don't enjoy it.
Well, I don't agree.
Do you not enjoy it then?
I'm not conscious of whether I'm enjoying it or not.
Really?
I'm not conscious at
So
all.
when you walk off at the end, you don't know whether you've had a good time.
Yes, I do at the end, but I don't know at the start. I don't know at the start whether it's going to be enjoyable or not because it might be a nightmare. It might be a...
Yeah, but that's because you're always
a
thinking
shock.
negative thoughts.
No, I'm not thinking negative thoughts.
Yeah, you
I'm
You're
thinking...
always thinking about what could go wrong.
No, I'm thinking you can't take this for granted. You have to...
No, I don't take it for granted,
And,
but I
and
still
every
enjoy it.
second we're on the stage in front of a live audience, and
Yeah.
the first half of our show lasts for an hour, I am constantly on edge making sure that I don't do anything wrong, that
Right.
I've got every line right, that
Yeah.
we are performing, that we are getting laughs
Doesn't
from the
seem
audience.
like that.
Well, it may not seem like that to you, but it certainly does to me.
Really?
And no way in the world would I ever say, oh, I really enjoy going on stage. I really enjoy the first half.
Really?
I don't. No, of course I don't.
Well, you're a very curious creature in that
I'm
case.
not a curious creature.
You can't even say it.
Curious creature. I am, in fact, I have an attitude of, do not take anything for granted.
No, I don't take anything for granted either.
And I know that if I adopted the attitude of, oh, well, it's all a bit of fun and I'm going to enjoy going on stage, it would be a failure because I would not constantly be on edge trying to achieve excellence.
Well, that's fair enough.
The pursuit of excellence is what we're after.
Yeah, all right. Well, we're still pursuing it, so it seems to me. But I mean, the point is that that's fine. If that's the way that you get motivated, and
Yeah.
that's the way that you feel, then that's absolutely perfect.
But I feel
However,
the same when I come into a radio
Yeah, well, you
studio.
can
I don't
feel-
take for granted this
Well,
is going to
that's
be a
fine.
great show.
Well, that's fine.
You've got to work at it.
Yeah, all right. Well, shut up for a second and I'll tell you what I think. The point is that
think
sometimes...
anybody cares?
Well, lots of people do care, actually. What the point about your viewpoint is that that's fine. If that's the way that you motivate yourself and that's the way that you like to do things, then that's perfectly fine. But you shouldn't then project that onto anybody else because everybody else does it differently. And if Gareth Southgate says he's enjoying his job, he shouldn't be castigated for it. Unfortunately, most of us, not enjoying his job because he's not done anything yet which has led us to believe that he's brilliant.
Well, that's my very point. Because of the level of responsibility he has and the expectancy of the crowd, how could he possibly enjoy his job? You know, he's under... The only way he could be enjoying his job is if he's had a nod and a wink.
He's getting paid quite a large amount of money.
Huge amounts of money. He's being paid the equivalent of £3 million a year for the time he's doing the job.
Is he not getting $750 per game or something like that? Isn't that the way it's worked out for these 4 games?
You mean 75?
No, 750. Is he not getting the equivalent of $3 million a year?
Yeah. Yeah, but hang on. He's only in charge for 3 months.
But he's getting paid at that rate for 4 games. Is he not?
Well, yeah.
I thought that was the story at the time.
Yeah, but that's £3 million, Mike, and that's for 4 months' work.
Yeah.
No, he's getting the equivalent of $3 million a year for the 4 games.
Oh, okay.
But he's not getting $3 million.
All right.
But what I'm saying is that...
Well, according to the back page of the Times, right, he will seek a long-term contract until the conclusion of the 2020 European Cup final.
Exactly.
Whereas Allardyce was only given a contract until the end of the 2018 World Cup.
Exactly.
So Southgate's now gone from not wanting the job the last time they offered it to now deciding that he wants it until...
For at least 4 years.
Yeah, for at least 4 years.
Yeah, that's right, yeah. So this is even post-Russia. So he's going to do a World Cup tournament, he thinks, in Russia, and then still go on and do another Euro tournament.
Yeah.
So far in the future, I've forgotten where it is. Where's the one after Russia? Oh, it's here.
What you mean, the Euros?
Yes. It's all across Europe, isn't it? And the finals are here.
It's the one where it's all over the place. Yeah.
But the 2 semis and the final are here at Wembley.
Yeah, I don't think they've decided yet.
But I think he can only be in a position where he can say, I'm enjoying the responsibility, I'm enjoying the job, if he knows, actually, in the background, he's going to get the full-time role. Because if he doesn't know that, then he should be on the edge. He should be on a knife edge all the time trying to prove himself.
I don't mind. I mean, if that was you, then you could say yes. But if it's him, he can choose what he wants to do. Now, here's the advice I wanted to give you earlier from Kerry, who sent this in on Facebook. He says, tell Mike Parry to get naproxen 500 milligrams for his back. Mine was gone within a week. I hope you're well.
Oh, what's it called?
It's called naproxen, Naproxen.
And where'd you get it from?
Well, I presume a chemist.
Naproxen. I'm going to write that down, actually, because it is a problem.
500 milligrams.
Yeah, and who's that from?
It's from Kerry.
Well, thank you, Kerry.
I mean, you haven't been moaning too much about your back.
Well, I don't, you see. I have mind over matter issues, which I'm very good at.
You have a lot of issues, which you're not so good at. Helen Hughes had a lucky escape in Chester, says Gift Gap, with Mike Parry. She must have been singing along with Leonard Cohen. Hallelujah.
That's a bit harsh, isn't it? She had
I've just been told that drug that you've just been recommending increases your risk of a fatal heart attack.
Well,
so maybe you better be careful.
It wouldn't matter. 2/3 of my heart doesn't work anyway, so if it hits the 2/3 it doesn't work, it doesn't matter. And as for young Miss Helen Hughes, I mean, poor girl, she just had it for me.
Had what?
The hots.
Really?
Yes.
Blimey. Did you have a white stick?
Yeah, well, you see, that's the cheapest joke in the world, isn't it? Come on, something better.
Still works. The Porky Quiz is coming up next. I'm predicting 2 out of 10 now.
Trump, he thinks he's running for president. Trump, he's filed for bankruptcy 4 times. Trump, his hair looks like a nest of birds. His face is as orange as his hair. He thinks climate change isn't real, and he thinks China invented it. He speaks out against immigrants. His Twitter's like a Parry account. Trumpity Trump.
Well, I don't think there can be any doubt about what the quiz is about. It is, of course, about the 45th President of the United States.
Yes.
The President-elect.
Yes.
Donald J. Trump, who was at the White House a few hours ago.
He was.
With Barack Obama, setting out the scenes.
It looked a bit frosty, that meeting.
It did look very frosty, didn't it? Very uncomfortable, you might say. Now, as per usual, there are 10 questions. They all have one correct answer.
Yes.
And everything else is incorrect.
Yes.
If you get one right, you will hear this sound.
What the hell is going on?
If you get one wrong, you will hear this sound.
Absolute dishonest, absolute scum.
There we are.
Yeah, I like
There he is,
yeah.
Captain Soundbite. Now, are you ready for question number 1?
Let's go.
In Trump's first 100 days in office pledge, what does he say he will do as point 1?
Point 1.
Yeah.
Did he make this pledge before he became
He did.
president-elect.
It's a written pledge that I'm
Yes.
sure you would have read
Yes.
during your major research for this particular quiz.
Yes,
this
that's
is
right.
what he said he would do in his first 100 days as president.
Yes. His point one would be he would lock up Hillary.
Incorrect.
No!
Absolute dishonest, absolute scum.
He said that he would impose term limits on all members of Congress and he would make a constitutional amendment to make that happen.
What's a ridiculous position.
Well, he's not going to be able to do it, is he?
No, what I'm saying is, what a ridiculous question.
Why? Well,
Because
I presume
that's
you would have studied his document.
Everybody knows him for
Would
his
you not have-
attack on
would-
Hillary,
would
for
you not have
building the
studied his-
Mexican wall,
Would you not have studied his document?
for, this outrageous pledge to bar Muslims from entering America. Nobody's ever heard of that pledge.
Well, everyone who's interested in Donald Trump would have read that pledge.
Nobody's ever heard of that.
No,
That's a ridiculous question.
Let's try question number 2.
Yeah.
What was the name of the military school attended by the young Trump?
New York Military Academy.
Correct.
Thank you.
What the hell is going on?
Whoa.
Question number 3.
Yeah.
What is the original Trump family name?
The original Trump family name is Trump. Now, I'm thinking aloud here. Thinking aloud.
Is that your final answer?
No. I'm thinking aloud because his dad was Fred Trump and his mother, who was from Scotland, came over to America, met his father, who was a brickie, to all intents and purposes, a building worker, and the original name was Trump. That's my
Incorrect.
final answer. No, it's not.
Incorrect.
Absolute dishonest, absolute
The
scum.
original name was Drumpf, which is Drumpf. It was changed to Trump by his father's father, funnily enough.
Oh, you
It's
mean...
originally a German
you
name.
mean-
It's a German name. When they first came to America, it was Drumpf, and they changed it to Trump.
Oh, that's rubbish.
Well, it's not rubbish.
I don't accept that.
I don't care whether you accept
Well,
it.
hang on. If you
Question number 4.
If you'd have been Mike Gregson,
Yeah.
6 generations back, that's not your
No.
original name.
When
Your
they
original
changed-
name is
no,
Graham.
They changed the
Utter
name when
rubbish.
they came to
What,
America.
his grandfather?
Yeah.
And you're saying that's an original name? That's rubbish.
It's not rubbish.
Utter
Question
nonsense.
number 4. Stop moaning. Trump started his property career at his father's company. What was it called?
No, he changed it to the Trump Foundation when he took over as a young man. He was about 23, right, and he'd come out of university. Before that, it was called the...
This will be a very specific answer I'm looking for.
Okay, it was called something like... Because he was brought up in a particular part of New York, it was called Fred Trump Construction.
Incorrect.
No!
Absolute dishonest,
No.
absolute
It was
scum.
called Elizabeth Trump and Son.
What?
Elizabeth Trump and Son was the name of the company.
Who's Elizabeth?
She's Fred's mother. Question number 5.
No, she's not.
Yes, she is. How long was Trump married to Marla Maples?
Oh, you said Fred's mother.
Yeah,
Is that what you said?
Fred's mother.
Say again, please.
How long was Trump married to Marla Maples?
He was married to Marla Maples. He actually said going up the aisle, he didn't know what he was doing here, so it didn't have a huge future, but it lasted 4 years.
Incorrect.
No!
Absolute dishonest, absolute scum.
It lasted 3.5 years.
Well, that's 4 years
No, it's
up to
not.
the nearest year. It is.
No.
That is outrageous.
I can't give you 4 years. No.
From the year he was
No,
married
I
to the
can't
year he
give
was
you that.
divorced, there are 4 years.
I can't give you that.
You must give me at least half a point.
I'll give you half a point.
Yes, because 4 years
I'll
is...
give you half a point. I've told you before, the answers are either correct or not correct. 3.5 years is the exact number.
Well, in the number of years between getting married and divorced, it's 4 years.
No, it's not. It's from December 97 to May 97.
You know I'm
December
right. That's why
93.
you've conceded and given me half
no,
a point.
it's December 93 to May 97. I've given you half a point because
And
you're such a-
93 to 97 is 4 years.
No, it's not.
Everybody, the millions of,
No, it's
of our
not.
listeners
No.
listening will say, of
No.
course it's 4.
No, it's not. All right, from December of now, right, until...
No, I'm not taking that.
December of now until May of next year. How
No.
long is that? Is that a year? Is that a year?
Listen,
Is that
married,
a year?
married 93,
Is that a
divorced
year?
97, that is 4 years.
Incorrect.
You didn't ask for months involved, you said the number of years.
I've asked you for specifically
that is
correct
a full point.
answers.
I'm not even accepting half a point.
Well,
full
you can
point.
accept a half point. Question number 6. What is the name of the iconic Ayrshire golf course bought by Trump in 2014?
I know this very well. The iconic golf course bought by Trump. What year was it again?
2014.
2014 is It's an open course, isn't it?
I can't give you any clues.
Oh, I know
I
it
just
so
want
well.
the name.
I've been there.
I just want the name.
The name is... It's not Glen Eagles. Definitely not. Just thinking aloud here. It's not the old course. It's... Oh, blimey. Because he's had loads of run-ins with local people about the planning of it all on the coast. Where is it? In Ayrshire?
I did say Ayrshire.
Ayrshire. It's... hang on. It's... Oh,
We'll have to hurry you.
I know it. I can
Well,
see
hurry
it
up and
now.
give me an answer.
Yeah, well, I've got writer's block in my head.
Yeah. Not the only block you've got in your head.
Hang on. It's... oh, dear.
Come on, hurry up.
I'm going to have to go for... Beadles.
Beadles. Incorrect.
Absolute dishonest, absolute scum.
What on earth is Beadles?
Was it?
It's Turnberry.
Turnberry, of course. I knew it was Turnberry.
Question number 7.
That was just a mental block.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Aside from Home Alone 2, can you name any other films Trump has appeared in?
Yes, because I saw it. I was sitting in the cinema in... I tell you where it was. Down on 33rd Street and 3rd, the Lowe's cinemas.
I remember that cinema.
And I went in there to watch Zoolander, and I saw Donald Trump in Zoolander.
Correct.
Hooray!
What the hell is going on?
Did you go on your own?
Yeah, I did actually, yeah.
Question number 8.
I was meeting somebody for a drink at 5 o'clock, and this was just like post-lunch.
Unusual, that.
2:30, and I thought I'd go and watch Zoolander, yeah.
Question number 8.
Yeah.
What was the name of the American football team owned by Trump in the 1980s?
Wow. Did he own a football team? Ooh, 1980s.
Well, it could be a trick question, I suppose.
Could be a trick question. Well, that's very nice, isn't it? Suggesting it might be a trick question,
Well,
but
I
it
don't
might
know.
not be.
Well,
I would say, because the New York Giants moved to New Jersey. I tell you what, I think it is.
go on.
I'm thinking aloud here. I'm nominating Philadelphia.
I can't give you any clues.
Right, I'm
There's no
going
point looking at me.
to say.
Uh-huh.
I'm going to say Philadelphia.
Philadelphia what?
Uh-huh.
The Philadelphia what? You don't get
No.
anything for the city.
Well, yes, I do.
No, you don't.
I do.
I said, what was the name of the American football team?
Okay. Philadelphia.
Philadelphia's the name of a city.
Yeah, Philadelphia. I believe Philadelphia Flyers.
Incorrect.
No.
Absolute dishonest, absolute scum.
It's the New Jersey Generals.
Well, I said New Jersey.
No, you didn't.
I did. I said
did not.
I said the Giants moved to New Jersey.
You said the New York Giants moved to New Jersey.
Yeah.
Well, that's not the name of a football team, is it? That's a sentence.
Yeah, but
which
I
includes
was
New York and New Jersey.
Yeah, I was getting
Plank.
warm then.
Question number 9. Trump criticised Judge Gonzalo Curiel during his campaign for being a Trump hater and a Mexican. Why?
Why? Because he. Well, because actually, it was a number of reasons. One of the reasons was he accused Trump of being a racist. Secondly, he accused him of being an idiot for saying he would build a wall. Thirdly, he accused him of damaging the relationships between US and Mexico. And fourth, he said he was damaging the economy of Central South America.
Are those your 4 answers?
Yes.
They're all wrong.
No!
Absolute dishonest, absolute scum.
He's overseeing 2 current lawsuits against Trump University in America.
Right.
Question number 10. You should get this one.
Yes.
What does Forbes magazine estimate Trump's net worth at in 2016? And it needs to be absolutely correct for the right for the full point.
Okay. Well, Trump himself estimates his worth at $10 billion. And that's what he says he'd be the richest man ever to enter the White House. However, Forbes magazine believe it to be a maximum of half that figure. So thinking aloud, half of 10 is 5. So I would have to say $5 billion.
Incorrect.
No!
Absolute dishonest, absolute scum.
Their figure of 2016 is 3.7 billion.
3.7 billion?
Yeah.
That's pretty close.
Well, it's not close enough. So you score 2.5 out of 10.
Well, 3, because
No.
I deserve a full point
No,
for...
you don't actually.
I do.
I'll tell you why you don't deserve
do.
a full point, because they separated in 97, but they actually didn't divorce till 99. So technically speaking, you could get no points at all if you keep bleating on.
Rubbish. The marriage of the unison of the two people living together went over 4 years, and that was... So I'm claiming 3 out of 10.
You can claim whatever you
Easy,
like. You
easy.
can claim that you're the most intelligent man in the Western Hemisphere.
Easy.
But even if you got that half a point added on, you still only get 3 out of 10, which is a miserable score.
Well, no.
Completely and
Some of
utterly
the
in line
questions were
with your
ridiculous.
usual complete and utter, bafflement.
No,
about
question
any
number
subject.
1 was ridiculous. Question number 8 was ridiculous. So, I can spend hours researching these things and add it to the knowledge I've gained
Well, the only
over
one you got
25
right.
years.
The only one you got
over
right.
25 years, and still you managed to come up with ridiculous
The
questions.
only one I don't write the questions. The
Yeah,
only
but
one you got right was
yeah.
the film question, which you normally complain about.
No, that was a personal experience.
Why did you go
see.
see Zoolander anyway?
Oh, I thought it was great.
Yeah, but why would you think that would be a movie you would like?
I'd read a review of it in the New York Times, and I thought, I tell you what, I'll go and spend a couple of hours watching this while I'm waiting for my next drinking assignment, which is what it was, actually. Yeah.
My next drinking assignment.
yeah.
That was the Porky Quiz. 2.5 out of 10. Absolute shambles. This is Talk Sport.
Thank goodness he's on my side.
Suzanne takes you down to her place near the river. You can hear the boats go by. You can spend the night beside her. And you know that she's half crazy, but that's why you wanna be there. And she feeds you tea and oranges that come all the way from China. And just when you mean to tell her that you have no love to give her, then she gets you on her wavelength, and she lets the river answer that you've always been her lover. And you want to travel with her.
This is Talk Sport. We are the Two Mics. There will be a podcast coming out a little bit later on, of course. We're playing a lot of Leonard Cohen tonight because it's been announced that at the age of 82, Leonard Cohen has died.
That's very sad.
It is very sad.
Yeah, of
and
course it is.
a good excuse to play lots more of his music as well,
Yeah.
which I think I will do in the car on the way home, actually.
Oh, really?
Here's one from
Where will you
William.
get that from?
Hey?
Where will you get that from?
I'll get it from Spotify.
Oh, really? What?
Do you know what that is?
Yeah. You sort of. You must subscribe to Spotify.
Yeah,
do
you subscribe to it, yeah.
So how do you get into your car?
What do you mean, how do I get into my car?
Well, how do you get it into your car? Spotify.
Because I'll have it on Bluetooth on my iPad.
Oh, I see. Right. Okay. Yeah.
I realise
I
this
understand.
is sounding very.
No. Now, we're going on a mission next week in which we're going to be driving in the same direction, south, okay?
Are we? That's
Yes.
right, actually, yeah.
And so I will need you to reboot my Bluetooth in my car so we can keep
Really?
in touch during the journey.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
All right. Well, can't you just follow me? I mean, you must have followed people in your life. Have you not followed people?
Yeah, but I might lose you in a traffic jam or something. Or,
No, you won't.
A traffic light or something
won't.
like that. Well, I want it rebooted anyway.
Mine will be
because
the
for
really
some
nice-looking black car ahead of you that's got a big Jaguar on the
Yeah,
back.
I know. But for some unknown reason, my Bluetooth's just gone off.
Well,
And,
maybe it's just switched off.
It might be. It might be.
I mean, when you put your Bluetooth on,
Yeah.
I mean, when you go to your Bluetooth on your phone,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And then you go to your Bluetooth in the car,
Yes.
do you know how to do that?
No.
No.
That's exactly what I'm saying.
Well, it's probably quite straightforward.
Exactly.
You
So
just have to switch it on in the car, pair it with your phone,
yeah,
and away you go.
Yeah, but it's all the fiddly dials on the screen.
Haven't you got a touch screen?
Yes, but I'm trying to find the Bluetooth bit. You know what I mean?
Well, why are you turning your hand if you've got a touch screen?
Because there's a.
You haven't got a touch screen in that car. I can tell you that for sure.
I don't think I have actually,
No.
because I have a knob, which is
Indeed.
no, sorry, no, which is both.
Hasn't been used a lot recently.
No,
though.
it twiddles, but you also you push it in and out.
Yeah.
When you've reached this particular point of the.
You're talking about Helen, what's her name again?
No, but this particular point of the calculation,
Yeah.
yes, and then you twiddle it a bit
Yeah.
again, and then bang, you push it again, yes, and all that
Is
kind
this
of
the
stuff.
one in the middle of the console?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, but I mean, it'll be simple enough to do. I'm sure.
Yeah, well, you say so, but anyway.
You've got to have this. You've got a Bluetooth on in your phone, and you know when that's on because there's a little Bluetooth signal at the top, right?
Oh, yeah.
On the screen.
Yeah, I'll have a look.
How could you have got this far in life and not know any of this?
Wait a minute. See, there's no blue.
Well, if you go into
your
your settings, you find Bluetooth and put it on, right, and a little sign will come up at the top,
Yeah, okay, yeah.
right, and then it means it's
I'll find out how to
discoverable.
find the settings in a minute, don't
Yeah.
we? Yeah, okay. Well, anyway, look, it's not rocket science, so I'm sure we'll sort it out.
It's really not.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I bet you don't know whose birthday it is today.
I don't actually know. Whose birthday is it?
Whose birthday is it today?
Do you know?
Yes,
Why are you asking me then?
because I always like to study these things. Leonardo DiCaprio.
DiCaprio.
Leonardo DiCaprio.
Yeah.
Who is now 42.
Is he really?
Yeah, I mean, I tell you what, you don't realise these guys sort of get old, do you? In such a
Well, I wouldn't say 42 is old, would you?
Well, when I saw him in The Wolf of Wall Street,
Yeah.
he was playing a bloke aged 26 or 27, and he looked 26 or 27.
No, he wasn't.
And that's just a couple of years ago.
Surely he was playing somebody in their 30s.
No, he wasn't. I don't think he was. I think he was playing a whiz kid Wall Street financier and crook, you know?
Yeah, but I think he was probably in his early 30s, I would have thought.
Yeah, I suppose you're right, early 30s.
Have you
Well,
seen The
anyway,
Revenant yet, by the way?
No. Is it worth seeing?
I haven't seen it either.
No, exactly. So we don't know, do we?
But he doesn't look that young in that. Andrew says this: I've never actually wanted to throttle Porky during the quiz, but tonight he clearly hasn't done his homework. The Flyers are a hockey team, and they're my hockey team.
Yeah.
How could he get this much wrong?
Yeah.
They're not even tough questions.
Yeah, well, you know, you say that, but I have so much knowledge to get into my head that sometimes it leaks out, it seeps out. And when I put new knowledge in my head, it pushes other bits of knowledge out, I'm
I see
afraid.
that. Lizzie says, disgraceful score, 2.5 from 10, Porky. You're better than that, or not, maybe in this instance.
Well, I'm sorry, but it's been a difficult week, a really difficult week. But I'm glad to say and delighted to say that our new DVD is now for sale. It's in the shop, which is on
It's in our shop.
It's in our shop on, where's that? The Two Mics.
The2mics.co.uk, yeah.
The Two Mics.co.uk is our website. There's a shop there. The video's for sale. Absolutely delighted to say the first shipment is arriving in this country tomorrow, and they're being dispatched from our distributor. So if you've already bought one, you'll get one in the middle of next week. If you haven't bought one, buy one, and you'll get it by the end of next week.
Excellent.
And they're great presents for Christmas as well.
Lord
I love
Rilo
it.
says
I love
this.
it.
LePlanc's quiz performance was terrible. I don't know what's worse, the score or paying to see Zoolander.
Yeah, well, that's right. Yeah. I thought it was a great film, Zoolander. That's the first time I ever came across Ben Stiller.
Yeah.
And I thought, wow, what a great guy he is, you know, the way
He's made an awful lot of movies. Have you seen any others?
No. And I was told that...
So you were so impressed with Ben Stiller that you never went and saw another film that he was in?
Well, I don't spend a lot of time going to the movies, but I was told that Walter Mitty was poor.
What?
He made a movie called Walter
Did he?
Mitty.
Yeah, I
about
didn't
Walter
see that.
Mitty. I didn't see that.
No.
I thought it was very poor. Oh, I did see... was he in a
He was
night
in
at
Meet
the...
the Fockers and all that
wasn't
stuff,
he
wasn't
in a night at the museum?
I think he was in that.
That was all right. That was all right. Not great. Robin Williams was in it as well.
51st Dates, I think he was in as well. It was quite good.
Yeah, and I tell you who else was in A Night at the Museum, believe it or not.
Steve Coogan was in it, wasn't he?
He might have been, but Mickey Rooney was in it.
Mickey Rooney?
Yeah, at the age of about 92 or something. You know
was
what
he
I mean?
one of the museum pieces?
Well, he wasn't actually. He was one of the old janitors, you know, and
okay.
and Zoolander came along to take over from the old guys, and they all said, "You don't know what you're letting yourself in for here, boy," you know, and that sort of thing.
Tom says this: absolutely awful performance, Porky. MG should not have given him half a point. You got it wrong.
I'm getting a lot of stick here.
You are.
It's not fair. It's just not fair. I get all the stick. You know,
William
all the
says,
pressure's on
Porky,
me.
I think you sort these quizmaster adjudicators out and drain the swamp with them. That's one of his great phrases, isn't it?
And it is. You've got to drain the swamp.
Although I noticed that he hasn't been saying it lately, now that he's going to be down there with them.
Yeah.
Trying to work it. I mean, what's really going to happen? Looking at Trump's face yesterday, I got the impression that here's a guy, as I said, who's walked into this situation. He's gone, actually, this might be a slightly bigger job than I thought.
Yeah.
And do you see he's got to hire 4,000 political appointees? This is how many people actually go along with the presidency. 4,000, right?
What you mean political workers in Washington, D.C.?
People in the basically in the White House. He's got to have his own team. And so he's got to appoint 4,000 people. He's then got to try and negotiate his way around the Congress and the Senate, right?
Yeah.
And basically, they've, having started off saying that he wants to limit their ability to actually make a proper, life career out of being in there, which they've said that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
I think that he's going to find himself, basically hog-tied by the system, like Barack Obama did, and he's not going to be able to do anything in the first 100 days.
What about the prospect of him stepping down after a couple of years when he finds
a lot of
that
people are
actually
talking about this.
the attention to detail is so enormous that he simply can't get his head around
And
it?
the other question is, who's running his businesses while he's not going to be doing it?
His son. He's giving power of attorney to his son, who is Donald Jr., age 35.
But do you really believe that he's not so much of a control freak that he won't be on the phone to him every
totally
day
agree
saying,
with you.
what are you doing about, Aberdeen?
Yeah, that's
What are you doing about Turnberry?
Yeah, I totally agree with you. And what's happened to Trump Tower Moscow?
Yeah, exactly.
We getting it up?
Yeah,
that's right. Yeah.
All of that stuff.
Yeah. No,
and,
sure.
And I mean, there's a lot of people saying that he doesn't like to finish some of the things that he started, and he loses interest very quickly.
Totally agree.
And I mean, you may be right. Maybe he will step down and hand it to Mike Pence.
And by the way, I was reading some background to it because it's fascinating the way he's come in. I mean, he is the new president of the United States of America. He has survived and is still fighting lawsuits involving tens of millions of dollars from people who have invested in businesses that he's launched and which have failed and which they have taken criminal proceedings against, which they're fighting in the courts.
Well, this judge
None of them have
the,
succeeded so far, but there's still 2 pending.
The judge who's mentioned in the Porky Quiz there, there's 2, at least 2 and possibly 3 pending lawsuits about Trump University, where he's being accused of misappropriating money.
Exactly.
I mean, you have to say that he's also been sued many times in the past, and quite often lost, quite often won, actually.
Yes.
Where I think somebody from the Trump modelling agency sued him and tried to charge him with racketeering and all kinds of stuff.
All sorts of things,
and he just brazens it out and he gets off it. But it's, I mean, if you're the President of the United States and you've got to, take the job in January, but in November you've got to go into a court and defend yourself, against fraud.
Yeah.
It's a very unusual scenario.
But it's even more detailed than that. The stuff I was reading this morning, right across the board, the Daily Telegraph, the Times, I was reading some stuff on the website and American newspapers and all that. I mean, at one time, he and his father were accused of blatant racism by not allowing their property, their apartments, to be rented out to black people.
That's right.
It was amazing.
Yeah.
And now he's going to be the President of the United States of America. I mean, I'm not saying he did that. I'm saying that people made allegations about it all the time.
That was another thing that he was able to disprove.
Exactly.
But it was a very sort of shady time, wasn't it?
Exactly. And he also said, and this is a direct quote from him, he's accused of getting involved with the mob and all this kind of stuff. And he actually said, look, if you're a property developer in Manhattan, at some stage you are going to have to enter into negotiations with people who are of dubious character.
Well, they used to have the window tax, didn't they? Where I used to be a member of a golf club in Pelham, up in Westchester County, where one of the guys who was there actually was jailed, and he was the guy in charge of the Teamsters in New York.
Really?
And he used to basically, he used to tell me, he said, well, when anybody puts a skyscraper up, the Teamsters go in, and it's all sort of on the level, but it's not. Right. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
How many windows you're going to put in this building? And they would say, I don't know, 2,000 windows.
Yeah.
And they'd go, okay, well, you've got to pay, $100 per window to the Teamsters. And that was just a one-off payment.
Yeah,
that wasn't anything to do with building the building.
That's right.
That was just a payment to the union for them to make sure that they got their,
their cut.
They got their dip to their beak,
exactly.
as they would say.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's going to be fascinating times. Question number 8. Yeah. What was the name of the American football team owned by Trump in the 1980s?
Wow. Did he own a football team? Ooh, 1980s.
Well, it could be a trick question, I suppose.
Could be a trick question. Well, that's very nice, isn't it? Suggesting it might be a trick question, but it might not be.
Well,
I would say, because the New York Giants moved to New Jersey. I'll tell you what, I think it is.
Go on.
I think aloud here, I'm nominating Philadelphia.
I can't give you any clues.
Right, I'm going
to looking at me.
I'm going to say. I'm going to say Philadelphia.
Philadelphia what?
The
Philadelphia what? You don't get anything for the city.
Well, yes, I do.
No, you don't.
I do.
I said, what was the name of the American football team?
Okay. Philadelphia.
Philadelphia's the name of a city.
Yeah, Philadelphia. I believe Philadelphia Flyers.
Incorrect.
No.
Absolute dishonest, absolute scum.
It's the New Jersey Generals.
Well, I said New Jersey.
No, you didn't.
I did. I said.
You did not.
I said the Giants moved to New Jersey.
You said the New York Giants moved to New Jersey.
Yeah.
Well, that's not the name of a football team, is it? That's a sentence.
Yeah, but I was
New York and New Jersey.
Yeah, I was getting warned then.
If you love the Two Mics podcast, you'll love the live show. Weekday overnights from 1 a.m. on DAB Digital Radio and 1089 and 1053 AM and via the TalkSport app. TalkSport, your Premier League station with exclusive commentaries every weekend.
What an absolute corker!